Hey everyone, before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Open Water. As a chef and restaurant owner, I know how important it is not only to serve amazing food, but also take care of our planet. Open Water makes that easy with their eco-friendly bottled water packaged in 100% recyclable aluminum bottles, helping to reduce the plastic waste. What's even cooler? Open Water is a female-owned company leading the way in sustainability, something we can all get behind. And here's the best part. They're giving our listeners 20% off. Just use promo code INTHEWEEDS at checkout. So whether you're hydrating your team or stocking up for your restaurant, make the switch to Open Water. Delicious water, a healthier planet, and great discount. Cheers to that. All right, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Saltwerk. You can check them out at saltwerk.com. You ever wonder what a pinch of Iceland would taste like? Well, you have it now in the most sustainable, flaky sea salt in the world. I've actually traveled to Iceland. Their geothermal powered island is beautiful. There's just a sense of freshness in the air over there, and it translates to this salt. I love this salt. It's delicious. It's the most sustainable. Again, you can buy just the normal flaky sea salt, but they also have infused salts, which I've been using at home lately a lot. They have this birch smoked sea salt that I love using with seafood. They have the lava salt, which is super black and cool looking. It's got a certain different type of taste to it. They have the Arctic thyme salt, which I use for my pickling liquids. And again, guys, just don't think of salt as something to season post recipe. You can use all these salts in the recipe alone. At We The Pizza, we use their flaky sea salt in our dough preparation. And they have this seaweed salt that I just used at an event that I loved at the Indy 500. I made a plant-based crab cake, and I was looking for a little bit more of that ocean flavor. Guess what I used? Saltwerk's seaweed salt. Gave me just that ocean flavor that I needed for my plant-based crab cake. It was a hit. Guys, if you want to use my promo code, you can. It's at In The Weeds Pod. You can use it on their website. You'll get a 20% discount on all their items. Stock up. This salt is amazing. And again, it is powered 100% by geothermal energy, the most sustainable sea salt on the market. You're welcome. Get yours. No Salt Bay in the house, just Saltwerk. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the In the Weeds podcast, where we dive deep into the craziness of the restaurant industry and so much more. We discuss food, beverage, even food policy issues. Basically, if you love to eat and drink and are curious about this industry, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Spike Mendelsohn, a recovering celebrity chef, a long-life restaurant rat, from washing dishes in my family's business to cooking at Michelin star restaurants, competing in reality cooking competitions, and serving as an advocate for food policy issues. My life is always in the weeds. We're broadcasting live from the District of Columbia, our nation's capital. A big aloha. On today's episode, we're joined by the legendary Chef John Mooney of Bell Book and Candle, Bidwell, and now chef founder of Kakili House Hawaii. John Mooney's career has taken him on a winding global culinary tour. We are operating on island time, and a bad day in Hawaii is still a better day than a good day in DC or anywhere else. Please welcome our chef, John Mooney. And the crowd goes wild. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? How's it going, dude?
Good, man.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome officially. Did I pronounce that last restaurant right?
What was it, Kakele?
Yeah, Kakele.
Yeah, Kakele.
Kakele. Tell us about Kakele.
So,
we're throwing you right into the fire. You know that, right? Just boom, right? Tell us.
Hawaii, there's only 13 letters in the Hawaiian language, so everything's kind of a loose interpretation depending on where you're from. But Kakele translates to it could be a hook, like a fish hook, or a source of food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kakele itself is like a big superfood farm on the North Shore of Hawaii. growing everything from like jackfruit, breadfruit, dragon fruit to citrus globally. And there's 2 cash crops that sustain the farm. The one is mango and one is avocado.
Got it.
And then you got a big house with a custom outdoor kitchen that I designed, and then a bunch of fire pits. And
so this is on the North Shore.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is, wow.
It's in Waialua, which is like if you're coming off the highway and you're entering the North Shore.
Yeah.
It's the overlook before you get down to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you came into the podcast, my co-producer here, Jason, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, we got the King of Hawaii coming right now, and it kind of hurt my soul a little bit.
The Kahuna?
Yeah, he said we got the big Kahuna coming into the podcast today, and I was like, he is. I was like, he's a legend. He's got ties. He's got ties on the island.
The non-local, yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So for people that don't know, like let's go a little bit back to the beginning here. You know, like we started at the end, but like you've been in the business. How? Like why? Like when did it start? Was it at an early age? Like spill the beans. Spill the tea, by the way, if you wanna.
I'll take down some tea.
Yeah, you take down some tea.
Get parched. Yeah. I started in the business. I grew up in Chicago. My father, was like a push work ethic type guy. So I could work for my father. My father owned a truck company, liquor store, and some Irish bars and stuff like that. But my dad's buddy owned an Italian restaurant, and his other friend owned a steakhouse.
Oh, nice. In Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. Are you Irish?
100%.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. So I just want people to know that.
So yeah, I started as a busboy. And my brother would become a pizza maker. My sister used to answer the phones.
Yeah.
Then my mother, was like a housewife. She used to host on Friday nights to help out. It's like kind of a social outlet for her. And that was my introduction. And I really didn't know what else I ever wanted to do. Yeah. I didn't figure it out. It took me a few years, but.
What was that? So that restaurant, that was an Italian pizza shop or something like that?
Yeah, privately owned. The owner was the chef.
Yeah.
A great guy from Chicago, Mike Magliardi, and his son.
Yeah. Was it more like a social club kind of? Like back in the day, like that's where people would gather, would be at these restaurants and just like play poker at the end of the night or some shit?
It was a piano bar.
It was a piano bar?
Yeah.
A piano bar that served?
In a strip mall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I would walk past it every day, and it's like one of those places in a strip mall where you're not exactly sure what's in there if you've never been.
Right.
From outside, it's a little nondescript, other than a sign and a door. But we had a blast in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything from like drinking beer out of the fridge when you're like a teenager to like people dating to like people getting drunk, your teachers getting drunk. It's just like.
And mall life was hip back then. That was like the time.
80s,
is the 80s. Malls were on fire. We had a movie that came out. What was it called? The Mall Rats. Mall Rats. So it felt like that maybe a little bit, like right?
Yeah. Like one of my best friends, who's still a great buddy of mine, worked with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got into it.
So you weren't in the kitchen though. You did front of house only.
I was cleaning tables, washing dishes, and then I never cooked there. But then after a few years in, when I was about maybe 16 or 17, I worked at an inn, Wolf's Head Inn, owned by a really great guy who actually taught me some lessons that I still carry. But
like what lessons?
Well, for instance, like I asked him for a raise. Right? And he goes, well, how much you think you're worth? I said, well, I don't know, $1. $1's a big deal back then. You know? And I got a note with my paycheck that said you get 50 cents. And then I said, well, why didn't I get $1? He goes, well, you should ask for 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Like don't take the first offer type thing, you know what I mean? But he was a really great guy. And
true lesson though. You're never gonna get it unless you ask what you what you think you deserve plus.
Yeah.
Plus.
Like a real restaurateur in the sense like he would be out on the floor. He wouldn't run the door or anything, but he'd be
schmoozing.
Get them a drink. Hey, desserts on me. He'd
be spending all the profits basically.
Yeah. And he had an interesting lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like everybody knew his wife and his girlfriend.
Yeah. It was called The Wolf. The Wolf?
Wolf's Head Inn, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Still
passed,
around or gone?
It's still there. He sold it, and he passed away in the last 5 years.
Oh. God bless his soul.
Yeah, but he was a great guy. So at that point, I was like, line cooking, but I didn't take it seriously at all.
Yeah.
Finishing high school, trying to finish high school, and then I thought I was going to play football.
Yeah.
I was like a high school hero, football, and then the reality of it is like a big kick in the face.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I've been, we've been doing these podcasts now, and we've had chefs, and it's so funny. It's like, it almost seems like it was always everyone's second or third, fourth choice to be in this business. It's like, I've heard like, I was going to be a baseball player, and I was going to be a musician. Yeah. We just had Eric Bruner on the other day. He's like,
is he a rocker?
Dude, he's a huge rocker. He used to tour.
No way.
Bro. He used to actually tour. I forgot the name of the band.
He's a guitar player, drummer.
I think he was the guitar player, right?
Bass, right?
Oh, bass. He was a bass player, but like they did like 100 tour dates or something like that.
They're a cover band though, right? I think they're a cover band, not to like downgrade them, but I think they're a cover band, but they toured.
But they toured with somebody pretty epic.
Yeah, they toured, and I think some of the bands are still in the music industry doing other band members. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, he was a rocker. I mean, just it's kind of like I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do at all, and I just leaned on doing what my family did.
Yeah,
like
the only experience I had when I actually had to take care of myself. So all right.
So why were you working? Make some money and spend it on dates, spend it on things to do.
Mostly weed.
Yeah. Mostly weed.
Yeah, mostly weed.
With a side of other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just this really no direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to find my place, and it all made sense. But it wasn't because I was motivated to like seek out what I'm trying to look for. Or whatever. Yeah.
So did you play football, or you just wanted to be a football player?
No, I played football in high school, and then I actually spent majority of my senior year in jail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Majority of senior like at many different jail times for incidences, or like or you got a sentence.
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, like
let's unpack that a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, most of us in this industry do end at jail at one point in time. By the way, it's a great segue. Most of the people that we put through this amazing facility that we're here at DC Central Kitchen are actually formerly incarcerated people that get a second, third, fourth chance at life. They put them through a culinary program.
Yeah.
And then you know about DC Central Kitchen. I don't have to tell you, but for those listening, I mean, and they pump them back out into the industry with an education and a talent. And I mean, this industry is made up of a bunch of these, this subculture, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I can explain it freely now. I never thought it was something to be proud of, but it definitely was a character building and necessary experience for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really need to learn how to take responsibility, in whether it's forced or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world's going to correct you.
And so you grew up in, what was the family life like? You grew up in Chicago?
Yeah.
In the suburbs, in the city, or?
I grew up in a town called Darien, Hinsdale, Darien area, normal public high school.
Yeah.
I did a little stint with public school, or Catholic school.
Yeah.
Because I was motivated by sports. My father flexed on that, but otherwise it would have been like straight through Catholic school type thing.
Yeah.
They just didn't have good sports programs.
Yeah.
Or facilities even.
Never.
So the public school had everything.
Yeah.
Indoor, outdoor swimming pool, practice fields, all kinds of equipment. So that was good, but I was just kind of a shithead.
Shithead. So what kind of things would you get busted for? Like, what were they?
Oh, you name it, man. I was into everything.
You steal a car?
No, nothing that bad. Yeah. But like some aggressive.
There's drugs or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Busted with weed, and like that was a huge deal. Like I'm glad that's not a big deal anymore, and I don't think like people realize unless they lived it. That was a huge deal. You get busted with a joint, they're locking you up.
There's still people incarcerated for marijuana that we need to get out of jail. So,
but the segue from my weed experiences was I was growing weed since like 1990, 91.
Since 1990.
Yeah, I mean, and now I've carried that aeroponic, hydroponic growing into my whole entire life. I made my family used to be like, oh, enough, John, with the benefits of weed and this and that. And then now I'm like, well, like
I told you, everybody.
Yeah,
I told you.
Yeah.
Are you still doing hydroponics right now?
Yeah, I got a huge one in Union Market. I always have. Bellbook and Kendall's always had a good one. Prior to that.
But like herbs, tomatoes, or weed?
Oh, everything.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. Yeah, I stopped growing weed, but I translated it all into
vegetables.
Yeah.
And lettuces. That's cool.
Yeah, everything you can, except roots and tubes don't grow in that apparatus. But
yeah.
But
I didn't know you were proficient in growing, bro.
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
I don't know.
That's amazing. You don't really advertise that, do you?
Yeah, I do, but
yeah.
I don't advertise a lot of things.
You don't advertise. I can't even find a wiki for you on the goddamn internet.
Yeah,
I created one though, and I already filled it in.
Did you?
Yeah, I started filling.
Just filling in the gaps.
Yeah, just.
I've always valued anonymity.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, under the radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that may be just I don't know.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
So all right. So rough upbringing or pretty?
No, just kind of a rambunctious Irish family.
Yeah.
The parents divorced when I was in middle school and left without supervision. I have an older brother, and he and I just basically nobody to tighten the reins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically like.
Is he in the food business too, or no?
No, he did a little bit, but yeah, he's in real estate and all that.
Good for him. He got out.
Yeah,
he got out.
He knew.
He had some foresight. He's like, I know a pandemic's going to be coming in about 15 years. He's like,
so
that's good.
Yeah, and I have a younger sister too, and she went into medical field. She does clerical things, but no, they always talk about their time they spent, the short time they spent. It's like
they like to memorialize it now. They're
it's like being part of a team.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the people you stand. Yeah, it's like you share an experience. Yeah, it's great.
So all right, so after the the kind of the small roles in the industry, what was the inspiration? Was it a chef? Was it a restaurant? What was the kicker to get you to take it a little bit more seriously in life, or go after, or you just fall into it? Like what made John Mooney?
So my brother's best friend, guy from our neighborhood, Brian, another Irish kid, went to Loris. And Loris, I think, is in maybe Iowa or something. He went away to school. Anyway, he met a guy, an interesting guy, Dave Kennedy. And Dave's older brother was a chef in Chicago, like a proper chef. But these guys come from a huge Irish family of 11 kids. The dad was the head brain surgeon at Loyola University. So when these guys lined it up for me, I went to go see Chef Jack, and that guy knew who I was immediately.
Yeah.
He had lived. He was me before.
Yeah.
Yes, and
he's like, oh, this fuck up. I see him.
I'm gonna make something out of this kid. And he was middle child of a huge family, and had huge pressure to excel, maybe be a doctor, or whatever. And he was just not that dude.
Yeah.
He had about a decade of age on me, and he basically trained me.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to culinary school. The guy, I worked at the 95th floor.
So how long did you work for him for then?
Couple years.
Through
school. Yeah, 3 years probably.
What was what do you throw? What stations?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah, it was a massive, huge kitchen where you could do anything.
How many seats was the restaurant?
Huge.
300-400. So you're just pumping out food.
1,000 people in banquets.
What kind of fare?
Continental. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Parties, you could be making jambalaya, or you could be making paella, or you could be making mulligatawny, whatever.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, a good base, a good foundational base. And actually, I went to culinary school, met Jose Garces, first day.
Yeah. What school was it?
We went to Kendall. It was in Evanston, which is a dry town.
Yeah.
The first town north of Chicago proper.
Okay.
Right across the street from Northwestern.
So the school is in a dry town, or right after the dry town? Oh, okay.
It's in the drive-thru.
So you guys went crazy.
Yeah, right next door. We shared a lot of common interests, me and Garces, and I got him his first job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when we finished school, we were like, screw this, like let's get out of here. And I landed a job with Chef Dean. I might have told you before. I knew a guy that worked at the mansion when Dean was there, and.
That's Dean Faring, folks.
Yeah,
by the way, legend in the business. For those listening, we'll hopefully have him on the pod one day if he gets his ass to DC. We'll see.
So Garces and he had a truck, and I had a job. I landed one with Dean, and we went down to Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never returned to Chicago. Oh, Jose did a couple jobs there, but we never.
You
lived
and
there.
Garces.
Yeah, we never
together.
Yeah.
We went to work for Dean.
No, Garces ended up working for Stephen Piles.
Okay, but he did the trip with you anyways.
Yeah.
And stayed and worked for somebody else. Okay.
Yeah, so we went down there, and that was the start of life as we know it.
That was it.
Yeah, dude.
That was the Mooney moment. I think that was the Mooney moment, right?
Having your bro with you, and just let's do this thing. Turned into a lifelong friendship.
Yeah, you're still good friends with Garces.
Oh yeah, we're
time.
bros, and we can get into Kekele, but the whole story was what Kekele became.
Yeah. Does Aaron Sanchez get jealous of your relationship with Garces?
It's funny you say that. The Latin community.
I'm telling you, you're split. Yeah, there's.
Well, the thing about the Latin community or Latin chef community is those guys might go to interview or do something. For instance, a cruise ship in Miami.
Yeah.
And Jose's coming out of a meeting and everyone's
go.
Yeah, so those things happen. But I think it's healthy. But even if it was any animosity, it wouldn't be spoken.
Yeah, no. Telemundo's who do we go with?
Yeah, who speaks better Spanish?
Who speaks better? Who's got the most swagger?
Or Mexican. Yeah, it's come up.
I'm sure. I'm going to read like that. So you went to work for Dean, and so what was that like? Did you started from the bottom there? How tell people how you escalate through the ranks there.
Yeah, well, I was entry level. So
you're
just doing whatever anybody tells you. You're literally peeling potatoes, and someone's measuring your cuts, all the different types of French terminology.
Those assholes those measuring your cuts, man. I hated those guys.
Me too.
I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Get the fuck on out here with your measuring. Get
out of here.
Measure my stuff. I had that happen to me when I worked at Bouchon. For the one in Napa, those chefs are hardcore, and they were always
with the ruler.
Yeah, walking around with a ruler. I couldn't have a spoon in my back pocket. Which I get, maybe not the best sanitary thing, but fuck. Anyways,
I actually thought another learning experience with Dean is I had some experience.
Yeah.
Right, and it had nothing to do with school. 'Cause school's absolutely bullshit. Sorry to say, I only went to that school because I had messed up my high school, and I had a little something to prove to myself. Let me see it through.
Yeah, you didn't go to high school, right?
I didn't finish high school.
Well, like me, I didn't finish high school.
Yeah, and then I got into an argument the last day at culinary school, and I never got my certification from them.
Oh, you ghosted them too.
It was fuck you guys.
Yeah, I'm just not a graduator.
I came here to get what I wanted. I don't need your piece of paper. Yeah, you'll be calling me one day.
In fact, you might have done it the best way, because usually, you see a culinary school on a resume, and maybe not in today's age, but I remember back in the day when I was hiring, you'd see a Culinary Institute of America, or you'd see Johnson & Wales on there, and you were like,
here comes another prima donna.
Yeah, fucking this guy. Here comes Paul Bocuse to the fucking kitchen.
Exactly. Bocuse Jr., right?
Bocuse, yeah, exactly. So
I remember when American Gladiators was on, everyone would have these crazy names, and we would call dudes names from American Gladiator, "What's up, Blaze?"
Yeah.
Fucking do this shit, bro. Fuck yeah, shit, man.
Yeah. My name was El Pelador.
Oh yeah.
I call myself El Pelador because I could peel like no one's business. All right, so you're working for the guy and for the dean.
Loving it, man.
Loving life.
Yeah, but get my ass kicked almost the first day. I walk in there thinking I'm going to contribute. I got it handed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a massive crew of extremely fundamentally solid across the board. You couldn't get away with anything.
Yeah.
If there was one piece of red cabbage in the stock bin,
Yeah.
like for making veg stock or whatever, like you'd get tracked down.
Yeah.
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 And then everyone would be like, you know, everybody.
We'd be like, what?
Yeah, like
you left a piece of cabbage?
six guys under him in management.
Yeah.
Exec sous, senior sous chef, sous chef, sous chef.
Talk about those guys. Were those guys like you, or were those mostly like Hispanic people, or like?
No, he had a mix. Well, it's Texas, so you get good Mexican population.
Yeah.
They were doing Southwest food, so that was a great combo. A lot of great Mexican guys in the kitchen. I lived in the Mexican neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, you know, that kind of blew my mind after, because I mean, you know, you know my background a little bit, but I grew up in the restaurant industry, family full of restaurateurs and chefs. I did go to culinary school to prove something to myself, just like yourself. I was like, I need to graduate from something, right? And it was dicey on graduation for me over there too, but I did eventually.
Anti-establishment.
Well, it's like, they send you on an externship, and I was like, most of the kids were going to like the Ritz-Carlton or some island in Florida, or like they were doing like 4 months where they want the vacation, and I went to France, right? I went to like where my mother told me, she's like, if you want to take this shit seriously, you're gonna go work for Gerard Boyer at Le Crier in Champagne. And I got
so cool, right?
Yeah, it was so cool. So I got accepted, and I went, and the problem is I didn't come back. So they almost like, I came back a year later to culinary school, so I had to basically pick back up from where I left off, and then they ordered me a graduation. But no, the thing I was getting to is like, I was amazed. I went through all this culinary training, and then I go to these serious restaurants, just like a Dean restaurant.
Yeah.
And like, you look to your left, you look to your right, and these guys are like Hispanic people with no culinary degree, killing it, killing it on the line, like just they could cook like no one's business.
Yeah, and having fun.
And having fun at it.
Easy, yeah.
Right.
True pros, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have that respect, and you get it handed to you at a young age, it's good, because like. It kind of gives you that travel bug, like that experience bug, like shit, like, okay, I'm gonna do my best. You know? I learned a few fundamental things there that I carried my whole life. One was like, write everything down in a notebook. Yeah. Because we were changing the menu every single day. Yeah. So the challenge was like, no one ever let it scale back. It was always push forward.
Push.
Yeah. So you were constantly challenged on many levels. Yeah. And extremely developmental, but when you're writing things down, you have the ability to have a reference point then and go like, oh shit, I forgot we did that. Right. Oh, whoa, I remember that. Or I remember writing notes being like, dude, I got crushed today. I'm going to do my best tomorrow. So like, you take the experience and really the next day apply it again. Yeah. No one's going to shit on me today. Like, I'm going to show Chef Dean, like, I can do it. Yeah. And I turned into an animal. Yeah. And you need that young energy to be able to do it.
I love that. It's a good lesson for people out there. Just like, and it doesn't apply just to kitchens, but write your shit down, man. Yeah. Right? It's good reference. I like that you criticize yourself. You're like, I fucking went down today. But tomorrow.
Yeah, the first person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't shit on anybody unless you look at yourself and say, could I have done something better? Was I the one that stimulated the shit show? Yeah. What could I have done? And if you don't do that, then you're a complainer and an excuse maker. Yeah. Yeah, which you can't be a leader in any industry, I don't believe, unless you take responsibility.
Were you a shit talker back there on the line? Like, would you talk shit to the cooks? You'd be like, fuck, I'm up in 2 minutes. What about you, motherfucker?
Yeah, the competitive.
Oh, you're up in 4?
Yeah, whatever, bro. I'm already here.
Yeah.
We had a microphone like on the line, and then Chef would go into the back, like in the office, and do some stuff, and we'd be like,
Sí, bueno, sí. Hola, los cocineros en la cocina de mansión.
Shit like that. Just having fun, breaking it up. It's an intense environment. You have to have fun.
You got to break it up. Yeah. Escoffier, which, you know him, you know who that guy is, right? Everybody knows who Escoffier is. He, one of the things I was reading a book on him, and like, I didn't realize he was such a jokester in the kitchen, but like, that was like his thing. Like, he always he was a prankster, bro. Like, really? Escoffier used to fuck with everybody in the kitchen, and it just started to tell stories about how he loved to lighten up the mood in the kitchen, because it was such an intense place that he would play tricks on everybody, Yeah. And still, I always remember that. It's like, so for the same, like in my career, it was like, I was always fucking, people like when in culinary school, I used to, Marcel will tell you this story. You know Marcel Vigneron? Have you met him?
No.
Good guy. I went to culinary school with him, but he graduated before me, and then he became like a sous chef of one of the restaurants at the Culinary Institute, and everybody at some point has to go through one of the restaurants to graduate, right? You got to do like a 3-week block and cook. Yeah. You know, so here I am at Caterina de Medici, the restaurant at the CIA, and Marcel is like on his high horse. He was a good friend, but he was on his high horse. He was like, I'm a sous chef now. You know, I'm a sous chef now, you know, and at the end of every shift, he'd make you kind of clean up shit, and he would come check your stations, check your little boys, you know, oh, what's this? What's that? So I made this huge foil dick.
Yeah.
And a huge foil dick, massive. It was just massive, and I put it in the oven, my oven, and he had everybody in line. And he sure enough, you know, he's like checks the oven. He goes, this is why we do this. See, if I didn't do this. And he goes, this piece of foil would be left in this oven. So he reaches in the oven, he pulls out this massive foil dick, and everybody just fucking lost it. And he like looked at me, he was like, oh, that's right. But you got to lighten up the mood. That's the point. That was the point of the story. So
yeah, you know, it's literally hot and demanding.
Yeah.
And to do it every day, it's hard to make a career. If you're a line guy, that's a tough job, man.
It's a tough job.
Yeah, and you know, I always said when I own my own spot, I get all my guys are going to get this and get that. It's so hard to run the business.
It's so hard. Give them a family meal and be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Give them a good family meal is what I always said in the restaurants, right?
Yeah, beer on Saturday night always is like.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
A beer at the end of the shift. That and a family meal, I feel like you can earn people's loyalty.
It makes a difference.
And treat them nice to a certain extent, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we just had Mother's Day, and like typically on a holiday, I'll go in early, I'll dress the whole staff, being like, guys, everybody wants to be at home right now.
Yeah.
This is a chosen path. Nobody's chained to this place other than me.
Yeah.
And you got to make the best of it. We create memories. You know? So
busiest day in the restaurant industry.
Good family meal and you know.
Yeah.
Invite your mother to come here.
Yeah. You think it's the busiest day in the restaurant industry, Mother's Day?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on your spot, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not a New Year's Eve spot. But we do huge Thanksgivings. That's our busiest day in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Big Thanksgivings.
Yeah, because in New York, I feel it's like hard to entertain because people live in shoeboxes.
So how long has that restaurant been there?
That one is 15 years old.
15 years old.
Yeah.
You're a DC guy now, though. You live in the DC area.
Yeah, because my wife and we have a daughter here.
Yeah.
So I'm like 70% here.
70% here. Are you weekly in New York? Bi-weekly? Monthly?
About 3 out of every 10 days.
3 out of that's still a lot. You take the train up there? Or?
Yeah, I like the train.
I like the train too.
I
Excella or regional? You taking the extra hour? Or?
No, I go these. Oh man.
Yeah.
Get those rewards.
You get those rewards.
Yeah, I enjoy
assigned seat.
Yeah, now it's a COVID thing.
Yeah,
it was the best thing they ever did.
Yeah.
You know, I used to hate trying to get there early and get in line so you don't get like.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another trick. You ever do the red cap?
Oh, of course.
Are you a red cap guy?
Only way to go. Yeah.
I love it.
Just goes Christmas times.
Red cap.
Extra for my man.
Yeah. We won't tell people what that's about because we don't want them ruining the red cap service for us.
Do you know what, though? You know what's crazy is like the quiet car. Because if you're
I don't see you as a quiet car person.
Not
though.
really, because I'll get phone calls here and there, but I'm always like, but the people that act like they're in the car by themselves is like so much every time. So people are like, holding Zoom meetings with like.
Oh yeah, with their extra loud voice.
Yeah.
I'm so important.
Exactly. Like I had a guy say to me like, hey, if you're going to cough, go in the other room. And I was like, look, and I just pointed to the. Pointed to the.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you'd be better than me. I'd flick somebody off if they told me to quiet. I don't go in the quiet car for that reason. I felt like I'll get in the fight. What about what do you think? The food can be amped up over there at the Amtrak, right?
I don't do it
Come
anymore.
on.
I mean, I'm like.
Why not? I mean, I'll do the cheese and cracker thing because whatever.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, why not get one of us to do better food there, right? Like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the perfect dude for Amtrak. I'm DC, New York, man. I'm back and forth.
Yeah. I'd maybe say Marcus Samus is probably the perfect dude for Amtrak, but no, you are the DC to New York. That's actually you should go pitch that.
I use the service, man.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
You know what you're doing.
What we need.
Jay, you got it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what do you guys think about the food at Moynihan Station? since they redid it.
Oh man, they really upgraded.
Yeah.
I don't even know what station that is. What
Like
station?
the new terminal in New York. Have you
Yeah.
taken the train lately?
Oh yeah, I did see the new terminal. I was in there once.
It's way better.
It's like the new Penn. It's like across the street from Penn Station, or like.
It's across the street.
Yeah.
It's across 8th Avenue.
Yeah.
But the old terminal, they're never going to get rid of that because it's in Madison Square Garden. I mean.
Yeah.
But man, the riffraff though, there's definitely wrong side of the
All time high right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Another
you know?
post-COVID thing. It is sad.
Yeah. I mean, on my way here, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
DC's got its own set of
No, I
issues.
brought it up because they want to make Union Station like Moynihan Station.
Well, they
They do the
They
redevelopment.
should.
Well, they need to get Shake Shack out of there then.
They need to put a Spike joint.
A good stuff.
Good stuff eatery.
A good stuff at Union
Wow.
Station.
Wow, how disrespectful. How disrespectful we put another burger place in my hood, in my backyard.
And it's primo.
And yeah,
It's in that new
primo
it's-
location.
It's like
Yeah.
the somewhat new area.
Yeah.
Of Union Station.
Yeah.
Disrespectful, DC.
Yeah.
Dude, Union Station.
That's why I moved out to Virginia because of
Yeah.
that one soul movement. All right, so you're cooking your ass off for Dean, learning all the lessons. You're taking fucking notes,
Having a blast.
reminding yourself.
Yeah, loving it, man. Loving it.
Yeah, is your personal life getting kind of crazy too? Are you dating? Are you just concentrating on food and cooking only, or?
I was still with my high school girlfriend.
Wow.
And at that point, she was in college. And we're still really close friends.
Yeah.
But I think we just both came to the point where, like, I was about to just fucking go full steam ahead wherever
Yeah.
my cooking takes me. And she was going to, like, get a career job and kind of settle in.
Yeah.
You know, which, I don't know. Like, a lot of people are cool with their comfort zone, just like,
Yeah.
I mean, a bunch of my friends married people we went to school with or whatever. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
okay. For me, I knew at that point that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, when I got the taste of being down in Dallas, I was like, I'm going to go all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually left Dean with the chef de cuisine, a sous chef, and the maitre d'. And we all came to D.C. to work for Mark Miller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we all left together.
So you left Dean with a bunch of other chefs.
Yeah.
Oh,
one
how
from-
did that go down?
It went down great for me.
Okay, so wait.
I got blessing.
Let's back up because I have a similar story, which is fun. But so how far did you get up the ranks over there then before you left? Where did you get to sous chef or chef de partie? Not really. You were just cook.
Yeah.
Cook.
I did every station in the house.
Yeah.
And then I'd come back and do banquet carving or whatever I had to do.
Yeah.
And it got really proficient to the point where, like, Dean couldn't say anything to me other than, like, polish your shoes or make sure your beard is shaved,
Yeah.
things like that. So it was like, the training was like, I got the most out of my time.
Yeah.
And beyond that, those positions don't change.
Right.
And I'd have to stay there for a decade.
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't the case. I had the opportunity to come to D.C. I knew there was a buzz coming around. I actually approached my chef, Randall Warder, who now works for Elizabeth Blau.
Yeah.
And
Elizabeth Blau, rock star.
Yeah, she's,
Hey,
yeah.
she's
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 got the stranglehold.
rock solid.
Yeah.
Rock solid. Elizabeth, if you're out there, please, love to have you on the podcast.
See you in Vegas tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you're gonna go Vegas tomorrow?
Yeah, opening night, Grateful Dead.
Oh, I just got invited to Grateful Dead by Mike Curran, the gentleman that runs DC Central Kitchen here.
Yeah, so
You going with her?
no.
Oh, okay. But you'll go see her somehow.
Yeah, so an interesting connection to Vegas too is when I came to DC, we were at Red Sage, 14th and F.
Yeah.
It was crushing it.
Yeah.
Really great place to work as well. But David Walzog ended up being the chef there.
Wow.
And so David and I have all the way up to this point, like, have done a bunch of stuff together.
Bunch of stuff together,
Bunch of
yeah.
restaurants together. Yeah. And, like, we're always, like, once I leave Vegas, which is where his home is now, we're flying to Chicago on Sunday to go to the NRA show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be there. I'm not going this.
The Restaurant Association, not the Rifle
Association. You're gonna go shoot guns?
Not
Yo, so you're going for
Chi-Town.
Saturday, Sunday? You're gonna spend at the NRA show?
So I'm going to the dad with my wife and my brother, and his wife and or girlfriend rather, and We're going to see Pearl Jam on Saturday. We're going to the Golden Stair on Friday.
Oh, this sounds like a great time.
75-year-old steakhouse. And then, then a couple days in Chicago, and then I'll be back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun trip. So you took chefs with you, took cooks with you.
So
You left Dean and took people.
Well, I left Dean, and I was the low man. But it was me and David Bull. You know Dave?
Yeah.
So David left with the general manager of the hotel, and they went to Austin and did the Driscoll.
Okay.
Dave, at that time, David and I were the two youngest guys on the team.
Yeah.
David stayed and become executive sous, and then he left with Trigger. Trigger was the general manager at the mansion.
Yeah. Did you guys all announce the same day or?
No. The funny thing is, like, the other guys Randall at that point had been with Dean for maybe 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Jeff Olson, who just passed away, great guy, had died of cancer in the last year. He was a sous chef. And then Bart Villalobos was a maitre d'.
Wow.
And Bart ended up being my general manager of Bidwell for a couple of years here when I opened.
Well, that's quite a loss all at once and for Dean back in that.
So he took it personally from the other guys a bit, but they eventually all get over it. But I got the blessing, man.
Yeah, you got the blessing. Yeah, well, you're just sprouting your wings.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I was. Yeah, I was there for training. I wasn't.
Just Dean secretly hates you.
Yeah.
Inspiring everybody's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I did the same thing on Le Cirque. So I worked for Pierre Chadelaine. We opened up the new Le Cirque, the third iteration in the Bloomberg building.
Cool spot, yeah.
And part of the opening team there, very competitive kitchen. And we worked and we got the worst review. We got a 2-star review.
Of any of the Le Cirques?
I think it was probably the worst, maybe one of the worst reviews that any Le Cirques had gotten. It was under Pierre Chadelaine's, he was the chef.
Do you recall what they critiqued? Like,
mostly what they critiqued was, and this was the issue, and we all kind of knew in the kitchen, there was like a little bit of the family battle going on between Sierra Mascioni and the sons, where this third iteration of Le Cirque was the moment when the sons were older, they want to have more say, and you could feel the tension in the kitchen from the family, right? And then the menu and the style of the restaurant read the same, meaning like the lobby bar experience was modern and felt very advanced, and the menu was like things that you had never seen on the Le Cirque menu, right? And then the dining room, the decor felt very old school, very ancient, and the menu read the same for the dining room. So it was like, the all the old dishes, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So like the sole, the paupiette, right? The wrapped potato, all the old dishes, and there was an identity crisis for that restaurant at that time. It was painful. It was very painful, and the kitchen was split halfway too. So like a lot of these innovative dishes were coming off like garde-manger salads and soups and pasta station, right? And they were doing trios and anchovies and things and whatever, and then you had this other part where we were just basting like soles and like putting potato wraps around fish and like, doing all these old school things, and you could feel it. And that's the way the review read, basically. It was like 2 stars, an identity crisis, no innovation in the food, or and
so accurate.
Yeah, so pretty accurate. And so the week later, I think this was like about 9 months in, or something like that. And so a week later, I had convinced myself and 3 other chefs to leave and go work for Drew Nipperon with me, and go open up a Vietnamese restaurant.
I remember.
And we basically all, Pierre was sitting at the chef table, and
I didn't realize that was the prelude to that.
That was the prelude to that. So so like so I sat there and I went and told Pierre, and then another guy told Pierre, and then one of my good buddies that still cooks with me, I think him, Mike Coletti. He's been with us for.
I know you guys speak highly of him.
He's been with us forever. He went up and he goes, Pierre was like, not you too, and he's like, So he like lost 4 or 5 of us from the opening team, like right off the bat. We all went to Drew's and we opened up a Vietnamese restaurant. We got 2 stars in the New York Times, which was good for us.
Yeah, especially for an ethnic food.
Yeah. It was a very positive review, and Drew's a breath of some type of air.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say fresh air, but just to kind of be in his office while he's drinking green tea and like yelling at everybody was some of the best moments of my life.
Yeah.
But so you took a big risk. So you went to DC from Dean.
Yeah. And so I'm down here with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And we're killing it, loving it. Ended up opening 2 more restaurants for Mark, and Mark is a very educational experience.
Yeah.
Where Dean would be very fundamental.
Yeah.
Mark Miller's like stratosphere.
Yeah. What's happening in DC then? Because it's definitely not the food scene that of today. So who else was here?
You would have had Jeff Boobin.
Okay.
Well on the map. Guys like Bob Kincaid.
Yep.
You would have had some old school places like Provence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a handful, and then you always had like.
Was homie here?
Old Epic
from
Grill
Citronelle?
was always like Wiedemeyer.
Yeah, Wiedemeyer, Michel Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard, and even at that point, Jean-Louis Pelletin.
Oh yeah,
Huge.
Jean-Louis Pelletin. That's right.
Yeah,
No,
so
so you
they
did have heavy hitters.
Yeah, there was some big time stuff going on. I'm trying to remember some more, but it was a handful.
Yeah.
Of good quality.
Yeah.
I always felt underrated here. I still feel.
Yeah.
The district has a lot going on.
Yeah.
So like things don't always shine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a great region.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of great talent here. And when I came back after, we'll get into, first phone call I made was Boobin.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm open a spot. I need guys.
Yeah.
I've been here in years, and Carlos, my chef at Bidwell came from Boobin.
Yeah.
He's been with me 10 years.
That's nice. That's nice to give up. Did he give up a guy? Or?
Yeah. He
I
sent
love
me
that.
a bunch of guys.
That's how it was back in the day, guys. We were in poaching. We were asking.
Haleo was Jose's only restaurant then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Haleo. So the original, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
No, not a bunch of guys really coming in here.
No.
It was home base for everybody.
Yeah. So then you did that, and so you were in DC.
Yeah, I opened 2 more Asian street food restaurants for Mark. I think they're both still open. One's on like right off Connecticut in like Kew. It's called Raku.
Well, how'd you get into Asian food?
Well, I was doing a lot of that with Dean, actually.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, because
Dean had an influence on it?
Yeah. He was mixing it up, yeah.
It's right next to Creamers, right?
Yeah. So that was fun. And, it's like I was a sous chef at that point at Red Sage, and then I'm doing openings, sometimes doing overnights, like just cranking. And like, when I was a young guy, I always took on way more on my professional side because I knew it would just prevent the bullshit from bleeding into my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need to be in bars with animosity with any other assholes. I didn't want to get into scuffles with anybody.
Yeah.
I really poured everything into.
So you weeded yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and it benefited me. You pay for that too, though.
Yeah.
My body's destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You pay one way or the other, but I think that's the better payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could be dead somewhere, right?
We had a blast though. And I loved DC. I loved living. I lived in Ballston.
Yeah.
Like right past Clarendon. My business partner, who I met at that restaurant, he lived in Clarendon at the time, and so we had this like bike path where we'd bicycle to and from work.
Yeah.
And we'd hang out up there in like Clarendon area, and I really enjoyed how nicely maintained the DMV areas are.
What years are we talking here? Like in the like
early mid 90s.
Oh, early mid 90s.
94, 95, 96.
Wow, yeah.
I moved to New York in 97.
Yeah.
Me and my business partner now. But so I went to New York, and Garces had done.
So you had you were part of all these restaurants with no ownership at this up until this point.
Yeah, no, I was working.
You were working.
And DC, actually, living where I was living was the first time I actually had a little tiny bit of money. I was paying my bills and getting by.
Yeah.
Not saving any money at all, which whatever.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Money's overrated.
But I was actually maintaining my living.
Yeah.
Garces Met a girl in New York when we were in Dallas. Met a girl from New York while we were in Dallas. And he left Dallas and did a little stint in Spain for Gabino. Gabino we knew from Chicago.
Yeah.
And then he moved to New York, him and this girl. And I'd go to visit them, and they were like falling apart. And I was like, dude, just break up with her.
Yeah. And
I'll cover half of the apartment.
Apartment, the rent.
Next week.
He broke up with her?
Oh, yeah. 2 weeks I was in New York.
So whoever you are, lady out there, it was Mooney that broke up with you.
Yeah.
took your spot.
Yeah, she probably doesn't have her maiden name anymore. But I'm not going to blow anybody up. But I went to New York and I started working with Dave Walzog.
Oh, yeah?
I did do some banquets for Charlie Palmer through Dean.
Yeah.
Shortly. But at that environment, I don't know, that place just didn't suit me.
Didn't suit you?
Yeah, but Dave...
Why is that?
I don't know.
What makes that place suit you or not suit you?
Well, it was a really tiny spot.
Yeah.
The restaurant was big. It was a townhouse, never meant to be a real restaurant. So all the things they had to deal with, like, I didn't like the environment, the people in there either.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, the chef de cuisine. Yeah.
There's always a guy. There's always a fucking guy.
He and I just didn't mix, and I knew that I was going to end up whipping his ass.
Yeah.
So I decided, like, you know what?
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll spare you the ass whooping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First one's free.
Yeah.
So I started opening restaurants for Peter Glazier with Dave Walzog.
Okay.
And Dave Walzog had just gotten, like, right after he left Red Sage, he was like,
How'd you get introduced to Dave? Just through
being here with Mark Miller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So him, Andrew Chase. Do you know Andrew?
No, I don't know Andrew that, but I know who
He's
you
a
talk.
tremendous guy, and they have a wonderful restaurant in New York. But anyway, David, Andrew, and Doug Rodriguez were all early 20s.
Yeah.
And all got 3 stars, like right at the same time. And then we all become lifelong buddies.
Yeah.
Dougie Rodriguez is tremendous culinarian and real wave maker too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good time to be in New York, and the economy was
basically late 90s or early 2000s.
And so I'm working with David, and we're opening restaurants like for Peter Glazier, this Wall Street dude, total jerk. But we didn't really have to deal with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a party for David Rockwell, the designer.
Oh yeah.
Well-known designer for anybody that knows.
David Rockwell, big time designer. You've sat in a lot of his designed restaurants. I've worked with him a couple times.
So we did his 40th birthday party in the Catskills.
Very fancy, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. So they had this dude, like, if you'd ever watch like Letterman or any of the late night talk shows, they'd bring this like animal specialist in.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember the dude's name, but he was like the original.
The guy with all the animals chained to him and stuff like that.
He had an owl.
Jack Hanna?
Is it Jack Hanna? It might be him.
It was like top, it was top tier.
It might be him. Yeah.
Yeah. So they had like owls and tigers and all kinds of exotic reptiles and shit up there. Anyway, I met Drew Nieperent there.
You met Drew?
So Drew, I meet Drew. I'm working the grill, and he's like, food's good. Give me this, give me that. And I didn't even know who he was, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably been a year into New York, and then started having a chat with Drew. He asked me where I'm from, what I'm doing, and then he's like, what do you want to do? He's like, Glazier's doing all these steakhouses. I come from Chicago. I don't want to do steakhouses.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got some shit.
Typical Drew.
Gives me his card. I meet him down at either Nobu or Tribeca Grill. First 2 meetings were one or the other. Met his partner, Michael Bonadies, who's become a mentor to me the rest of my career, even till now. And met Michel Nishan.
Yeah, a legend. We're gonna have him on the pod too.
Yes.
Do you know Carrie Savona through all that?
Oh yeah.
I love Carrie Savona.
Yeah.
He opened my what? He's a rocker.
Yeah.
I love that man. By the way, he helped us open my house with Drew. I'll get to there, but okay, go on. Yeah.
So then that was like we're opening W hotels.
Yeah.
It's got Barry Sternlicht in the meetings with Drew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is next level. This is New York next level. And I used to speak to my father, and he would be like, Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
You're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the shit. You're in the right.
That's
spot.
how my parents felt. They're like, "Oh, Drew."
Yeah. I love Drew, man.
Yeah, those he's a classic, New York restaurateur. He knows his shit.
Yeah.
He's worked with the who's who of chefs. A lot of chefs have come up through his restaurants and went on to do their own thing, which he hates, like David Boulay and all those guys, which he holds. He was partners
With De Niro.
and Tribeca Grill. That didn't end well. We heard about it all the time in meetings. I'm sure you got your breath of Robert De Niro stories. He was also partner in Nobu.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But anyway, just a rock star. Love him or hate him. I think most people end up still loving them after they hate him at some point. He's just that type of guy, right? Like,
he is.
And it was an exciting time for you, right?
Yeah, great time.
The Drew effect.
We're doing awesome stuff. We got a test kitchen. We're constantly R&D. We're doing all kinds of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's like, I got Aaron.
Yeah.
I got Marcus. I got Ray Mohan. I got Douglas. I got all. Yeah,
Aaron Sanchez, right down the street. Yeah, because he had opened Central.
Yeah.
He opened Central.
Oh, that was a little later.
That was later, right?
Yeah,
okay.
At that point, he had Paladar.
Oh, Paladar.
So his sister, his mom, it was family. I spent all holidays with them. And
So how did you meet him through the Drew
I met
world?
him
or?
because in our Myriad restaurant group, Drew's restaurant group, test kitchen, Michelle and I had, Aaron was doing tastings to do the
Central.
Yeah. And then we became buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, that's a whole other thing.
Just give us some Drew stories. First of all, we need to have Drew on this spot too. But you go. Let's go story for story with Drew for a little bit here.
So, one of the ones I love to say is, I spent a lot of time in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
And I met Chef Gordon through Drew, through the Drew organization.
Yeah.
And so Drew's asking me fairly recently, what are you doing out there? I was like, I don't know, see Shep and hang out and this and that. And he goes, Chef Gordon? He goes, let me tell you a story. When I was opening Tribeca Grill, we sent out this kind of invite to invest in me and Bobby De Niro's new restaurant group. So we just got this celebrity kind of connections, and we sent everything out. And he goes, Chef Gordon responds, and he wants me to put this Maui onion soup on the menu, and he'll give me like $250K or something. And then I was like, I can't fucking do that. I mean, I gotta have my chef do that. I can't tell my chef what to do. I mean, what if everybody says the same thing you said? I can't do that, Anyway, I stop him right there and I go, wait, boss. I call him boss, big boss. Hey, big boss, let me ask you something. Did you just tell me a story about two Jewish guys fighting over a bowl of soup? Drew's a great operator, though.
Oh, yeah.
And for a guy his size, he has a ton of energy.
Yeah.
Never backs down from a fight.
Yeah.
I've seen him many times put people in their place very correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I admire him tremendously.
It's that green tea.
Yeah.
He likes that green tea.
Is he a little guy?
Tea. Little guy. Oh, no.
He's a heavy guy.
He's a heavy guy, but bigger than life guy.
Yeah.
Bigger guy. Lately, less bigger guy.
Yeah.
He's looking great. He's looking healthy.
Is he like one of those guys who's like 1 degree separated from like everybody in the restaurant industry? Like just super connected and...
Yeah.
I'd say everybody really knows him. Like, especially in the chef restaurant world, you know Drew through the grapevine. You want to know Drew, My funny story, I mean, I have plenty as well as I'm sure you do. We can probably go on for days. I'd love to hear Shep's, by the way, side of that story.
Yeah, exactly.
Just knowing those two.
Yeah.
But we were under review process for my house. First of all, Drew decided to go into business with this guy named Michael Bao, which was one of my mentors at culinary school. He's a Vietnamese guy. He took me all throughout Vietnam.
Okay.
I cooked with him for 2 years.
See, that's amazing.
He taught me everything he knew about his mother's cooking. He was an artist first. He had no formal culinary training. So like this guy, when we opened up the restaurant with a real kitchen in it, I think it was the first time this guy had ever been in a real kitchen. He had sold Drew the dream. All right, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
All right, he sold Drew like he was like David Chang, upcoming kind of thing, right?
Which is hard to do.
Oh yeah, which is
commendable.
hard to do. And, you know, this guy's cooking off with like sizzle platters, right? Instead of saute pans, and bain maries instead of pots, like all that shit, right? Like, and so we basically had to teach him how to cook like in a real kitchen. But I remember we were under the review process and like Frank Bruni was coming in. He was the reviewer at the time. And Drew was on top of it. Like he saw like a fake name reservation or some shit, looked it up. And this is what happens, by the way. If Drew gets a hold of a report, someone's coming in to review, he picks the table that reviewer is going to sit in, right? And then he crowds all the rest of the tables with people from the other restaurants, all employees, right? Yeah. So he's like, all right, we're going to get everybody in. And for weeks, he had been telling me, he's like, Spike, you know, I was up late. I couldn't sleep last night. I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning. Infomercial. He's like, Sonic Blade. He's like, we got to get one of these things for the pork belly. He's like, we got to get it. I was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, the Sonic Blade. And I'm like, what's this? He's like
an electric knife?
Yeah, it's an electric knife. He's like, it's an electric knife. It's amazing. It cuts through you know, everything perfectly. He's a Sonic Blade, you know? So I'm just kind of ignoring it. I'm like, I'm fine with with the regular knife. Carrie Savona's in the kitchen, by the way, trying to control us.
With flowing
hair.
Yeah.
Like
he looks like the prettiest lady you've ever seen.
Sponsored by Pert Plus. He smells good. That's the most good-looking expediter we ever had on the biz, and he thought we were wild, because we were wild back then. But so it's the day that this fake reservation's coming in, so we're assuming it's Frank Bruni. Sure enough, it's Frank Bruni comes in. He's fucking, you know, so we crowd him. He starts to order. Drew fucking comes running in the kitchen with a fucking Sonic Blade. He ordered it and he took it out of the pack and he's like, Sonic Blade. He's like, use it. If he orders the pork belly, use the Sonic Blade, right? And he's like, I'm like, okay, fine. So here we are, we're plate up, you know how a review process going in the kitchen, everything stops for some reason in this kitchen. It's like, no one matters in the rest of the restaurant. We're getting these foods out. It's it's so much so that it actually comes back to bite you a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you're really just overthinking shit at that point. So we are, all right, I fucking fire the pork belly. And the pork belly is like a pickled red cabbage slaw. It's got a pork belly that's been braised like in coconut water, fish sauce, lemongrass, kaffir lime leaves, chilies.
Beautiful.
All the, like, just delicious, sweet, like, little pork belly. Beautiful little pork belly. We cut it perfectly with our knives, like perfectly, super thin. Sure enough, he's like, oh, no. He's like, let me on the line. So he comes up, Drew. He's like, I'm gonna sauce a plate. He's like, oh, I'm gonna. I know. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I think I should sauce it. We were like, what? So he comes in with a Sonic Blade and he fucking tears the shit out of this pork belly. I'm telling you, he's like, he's like a Sonic Blade. He's shaking on the cutting board and just destroying it. We had to get a new pork belly, plated it up. We cut it with a knife, and then Drew's just pouring sauce all over the plate, dude. Like over sauces the plate. Dish goes out. I mean, we ended up getting a fantastic review, but it's just a funny guy. Just a funny guy to have in those moments.
He's in his own world.
He's on his world.
He has no self-consciousness.
Yeah. He's got a bodyguard named Tony.
Tony's great.
Tony's the driver.
Yeah, Tony's great.
Yeah, he's strapped, so watch out if you run into Tony, boys. You don't want to run into.
When you work for Drew, man, the amount of things that we've done and still continue to do. Like I do his box at Giants and Jets Stadium. I'm obligated to like 2 to 4 games a season, depending. It's always a blast. And like a real operator, a real front of the house guy, faces and names. It's like he literally is on the spectrum with that stuff.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah,
big time.
But yeah, man.
You know who almost did him in though? I think was Paul Liebrandt.
Seriously,
I was.
Where's he?
Paul nowhere for good reason. But I was the chef bitch for Paul Liebrandt. Because similar to what you said, he had other chefs doing tastings for him for other concepts.
Yeah.
So my kitchen at the time, while Corton was ready to get being launched, I had to order all his shit. Paul Liebrandt, he'd prep and do his tastings out of my kitchen, and he was a fucking nightmare. Yeah. I mean, good on him, good chef, but man, he was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, you know, for some reason it's just me. I respect all that, but it's like, why are you taking yourself so damn seriously?
That's the thing. Like I
enjoy it. Like,
yeah. that was my issue. I was like, no, like you're talented. You're fucking.
Yeah.
You work for Marco P. Wright. You work for the Gordon Ramsay. You're a talented guy, but like, man, like you're taking this shit a little seriously. Like. Can we get a foil dick in the kitchen or something like like?
Can we get the foil?
Can we get something? All right, so you're working for Drew, and then what? Just fucking skyrocket from there.
So we're opening W hotels, and really doing like freestanding, interesting stuff, cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
With nobody telling us to slow down or don't buy this, don't buy that. It was great.
Yeah.
But through Drew, you get all these other opportunities. So I started a catering company, taking overflow from them.
Yeah.
And then I would oversee a bunch of their consulting work.
Yeah.
Restaurant openings, menu development, kitchen design, all over the world. We were going to Israel, we're going to China, we're going to Puerto Rico, Mexico.
Is that when the traveling started for you a lot?
Yeah. When I started to work for Drew, it was like,
Yeah.
And then through Shep, ended up doing a couple spots in India and a bunch of work for those guys.
Yeah.
40 different cities. And then for Drew, it came back to Drew, and I opened a spot in Dublin, Ireland for him.
Yeah.
And then he had spots in London. So just overseeing everything and taking on more stuff.
Just for our listeners, Shep Gordon, another true legend in this industry. It's kind of hard to describe, but well, first of all, you can definitely go read his book, Supermensch, or see the movie that Mike Myers produced, also called Supermensch, to learn about him. But he's credited with like inventing the celebrity chef to a certain extent.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He's credited with pulling chefs out of the gutter, if you will, like bringing them out of the back of the house to a little bit more to the front of the house, and he's credited with giving the opportunity to have an actual living wage. Yeah. I think to a certain degree, right? Where I think most of us back in the day, the story goes is like a lot of chefs were being very, very taken advantage of, right? They do these huge events. They would, cook the food. They wouldn't have a seat at the table or the dinner. They wouldn't be able to really even enjoy the evening. They'd stay at, the shitty motel down the street while everybody stayed at the the best places.
They're in the back of the house. It wasn't open kitchens.
Yeah, it wasn't open kitchens, and the pay was sucked. So Shep really ushered this new idea of we need to value these guys because they're doing the real thing, right? And Shep was a rock star manager. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And, at some point in his life, he turned the page and said, I really want to be in the food industry a little bit more. This rock star stuff is great, but man, it's taxing. And he fell in love with food. All right. And he fell in love with a certain chef.
Roger Verger.
Yeah. Roger Verger, which is amazing. And traveled with him, and that's kind of was the beginning as a chef in the world of food, but it's definitely paid dividends for the rest of us, right?
Totally, and a great resource, a great guy to be associated with, and like a real stand-up for what you believe in type guy.
Definitely.
Make sure the checks get signed.
Yeah.
Roger Verger was a landmark kind of opportunity for me to be able to do a couple events with him and be in his presence. I
didn't know that. You were able to kind of...
Yeah, and then Shep organized a dinner with the Dalai Lama.
Ooh, I've heard about this dinner from Michel Nichon. Yeah. I've heard it now from you.
We ordered... Well, the story kind of
evolves, yeah. Big Fish style.
We had a soba chef, like a master soba chef from Hamura in Manhattan, which is like a well-known. This guy was tremendous, but we told him we're going to cook for the Dalai Lama, and he said we got to get bonito flakes from the Yakuza. Only Japanese people can get access, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right?
Yeah.
He orders the bonito. It's like $300 an ounce. And we're like, I'll get two of them, whatever. So, having this giant event, saving the rainforest.
Yeah.
Loads of nothing but celebrities in there. And first time I got to work with Emerald, who's always been a tremendous guy, always remembers you, like really real chefy chef.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Dalai Lama gets his bowl of broth, and I'm standing there next to the Japanese guy who's Buddhist, and he's like, drink it. I know it's good. He doesn't ever drink it. He's fasting.
He's fasting.
Right? Yeah. So we went to all this trouble to cook him something. We're waiting for a reaction. Never happened.
Never happens.
Yeah, but I think we've told the story sometimes. Oh, he loved it. It was the best thing
It was the best thing, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
best thing
yeah.
ever, yeah.
Yeah, I think Michelle told me you couldn't ask for seconds and thirds.
Yeah, but I mean, still being in my 20s, that shit was like something to be proud of.
Dude, that's big. I mean, that's up there with presidents or whatever, like the Pope, if you will. I mean,
seriously,
that's up there.
Yeah, and it's good for your team too.
Yeah. So okay, so you have the New York connection, the DC, of course, Chicago. You're steeped in the network of chefs. You're cooking with and rubbing shoulders with all the legends of the business. What next? What happens next? So you stay in New York, but you end up in Hawaii. Like, explain how the Hawaii connection has evolved over the years. And I mean, I know I'm sure Chef has something to do with that.
Yeah.
But
so I end up going to India.
Yeah.
Michelle and I have business with Chef there.
Michelle Nishan.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, wait. Before we get to this, then so what? Like through Heartbeat or what was the connection with Michelle?
Michelle and I were overseeing all those hotels for Drew.
Got it. Oh, so he was working for Drew with you.
Yeah. So Michelle was like F&B chef. He was my boss in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we eventually just had forged this relationship where it was like bipartite.
Yeah.
From that on, and so Chef is like, let's go to India.
Yeah.
And he brings Danielle, he brings John George, he brings Grey Coons, and I'm like, fanboy over here.
Bunch of dishwashers.
He pissing myself. Yeah, and we're doing the chef's tour in India. It was like the test market for are we going to do business there.
Yeah.
Then he brings an awesome Hawaiian dude, Raymond Bixon, who was supposed to be overseeing our projects in like the couple locations that we picked, which he eventually, when we get everything said and done, takes over the entire hotel chain. And what happens is they own like 70-something hotels in India, but they want to internationalize. They buy a bunch of hotels in Asia. They bought the Pierre and the original Ritz-Carlton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Raymond is acquiring and expanding, and he was at the Mark in New York prior, and he's Hawaiian native. So Raymond is my boss. He's running the whole Taj, answering to the owner, Ratan Tata, who's like a mogul, global mogul in the steel industry.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the interim of us doing like a couple showpiece restaurants, I'm traveling all over doing like an example for the listeners. Like, if you go to Four Seasons in London or Four Seasons in Moscow, Four Seasons in New York, and you want the Four Seasons Caesar salad, it has to be your expectation.
Yeah.
Because it's like luxury hotel, thing.
Yeah.
There's expectation, there's brand standards. So I was continental internationalizing the hotels to be prepared to be Taj all over the globe.
Got it.
And at the same time, Michelle and I are building a kick-ass restaurant for chefs, like, making sure we get the primo stuff. And then I redid a really cool restaurant.
What was the name of that one, though? The one
Pure.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it was so amazing. Like, we had terracotta marble shipped from Italy to do the floors. We had hand-carved sandalwood for like partitions and bar.
Yeah.
We made like a heaven and hell type scenario where there's like the dark section and the bright section. 200 and something candles got lit every night. Kitchen totally custom.
Did Alice Cooper perform in the middle of the?
No, he never made it, but we made a huge splash. So.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're in the middle of Bollywood, and we had all those celebrities behind us.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was like,
it's good times.
Yeah, it was like, Indian Hollywood.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And, the thing about India, man, it's like, if you've never been, you really don't know.
Yeah. I've never been.
It's
Tell me.
Terrifying and magical every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the extremes of life.
Yeah.
Like wealth beyond.
Yeah.
Doing weddings of like 4,000 people, like 30 guys just to cook the bread and the tandoor, like 40 tandoors like lined up.
Yeah.
And then it's like 100 elephants, 100 camels, 100 horses just for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
3 days long. Yeah, like insane.
Yeah.
And like just ridiculous wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have a good buddy here, Indian guy. Maybe you know him, Ruben Bajaj. Bajaj family or Sonny Bajaj.
I think I do.
Yeah, those two guys. So he had a wedding, arranged wedding, and they built the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Like they built the venue for the wedding, which was insane to me.
So when we were building the restaurant, I was like, had images in my head. You know, I had ideas floating around. But I went to the Red Fort, which is a Maharajan palace, and they told me that the Maharaja of the Red Fort is in Rajasthan, which is like North India, had more gold, silver, and crystal in his palace than Paris and London combined. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, he has children in his palace that he's never even seen. He's got like 300 mistresses, 300 concubines. He's got 100 wives. And I'm like, dude. And then I'm like, all right.
That's insane.
Now I know the benchmark. We're going to build the craziest shit you ever seen. No one ever told me to slow down, man. Like I was having like everything come from Paris when it came to flatware, plateware.
Yeah.
You know, like champagne flutes had no stems. They would sit in a sterling silver cradle.
Yeah. Where were you shopping? Like just
straight from Paris. Like,
straight from Paris.
And
anyway.
I bought a bunch of stuff from Corinne in New York because Sayuri was always good to Drew.
There's that, I forget the name of it, but there's that restaurant shop I love in Paris, man, that kitchen shop. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You get those like fancy steak knives. I forget the name of it, but yeah, Paris is the place to get that stuff from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mauvier, Langoulet.
Yeah, Langoulet, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like no expense, man. I love that.
Yeah. And then like we were just blowing the thing apart. It was great.
So then I'm going to serve you some pizza while you talk some more. But
I love pizza.
Yeah. Well, you chose. Explain what your choice was. You said you wanted a Chicago pie. I was like, I don't do deep dish. So it was like, but you said Chicago toppings. So then I was trying to figure out what the fuck that was.
Sausage, pepperoni, and mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got that. We call that El Montreal.
Oh, really?
Montreal, yeah.
Pizza.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, being from Chicago and living in New York for whatever, close to 30 years, I always get the question, New York or Chicago? And I'm like, dude, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And it's not really comparable. I mean, other than the actual ingredients.
Yeah.
There's 5 kinds of Chicago pizza. Deep dish is the one everybody knows who's not from there. The locals eat tavern style or thin crust, cracker crust.
So what are the different styles? I'm going to feed you pizza now while you talk about pizza.
Sure.
What are the different styles of Chicago pizza? Because people first thing that comes to mind, and I'm sure everyone else, it's a deep dish.
Yeah.
Right.
So deep dish is, sausage on the bottom, cheese, then tomato baked. Then there's the stuffed pizza. It actually has dough on top as well. Then you got the grinder. Now the grinder's interesting because it uses brick cheese, which is
brick cheese.
Yeah,
tell people what brick cheese is.
Brick cheese comes from Wisconsin. It's kind of like a mozzarella, kind of like a jack. Different kind of texture, different kind of tang to it. Nice. And so you got the grinder, you got the stuffed, you got the deep dish, then you got the thin crust, which is tavern style. Or you got the cracker crust, which is the same thing, but just thinner. Now, the tavern style and the cracker crust are cut in squares. They're made for, like, pizza pubs where you share,
Yeah.
Like, so they're cut in smaller pieces. Where New York, my definition, is it's a convenience food. You get slices on the go pretty much anywhere. And then, of course, there's ones that are better than others.
Eating occasions. It's what the difference is. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and they're great. But the experience is totally different.
So I made you a fresh pie today. We use a lot of dough. So we have a New York style dough at We the Pizza, but I think we make it a little thicker on the stretch just so it could hold up the toppings because New York is kind of a commuter pizza, like
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah,
very very little. So
like the pizza you might eat there versus the one you deliver could be from 2 different shops, right?
Oh yeah.
It's good.
Is it too hot?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, that's 5 minutes. That's the magic number to reheat.
I've been giving Jason shit about
Oh yeah,
not heating up my pizzas enough.
laying down some standards.
Yeah, I was like, listen, you gotta get these pizzas piping hot. And we got the Just Iced Tea guys. Just big shout out to our sponsors, We the Pizza, best pizza in the district, in my opinion. I'm biased. And then we got, although there's many different styles of pizza in the district, and a lot of great pizzerias actually.
There's no thin crust in the district. You know, the only place you get thin crust is where we talked about that Red Robin, which also has Donato's. I know that's like a chain, but like it does both. The one in Virginia, you know what I'm talking about, Spike?
Is it good?
Donato's? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good thin crust. It's
check it
It's
out.
a Midwest chain.
Okay.
What's like? You must be ordering like a lot of Domino thin crusts.
No. You know, Lido's is thin crust, I guess.
Is it?
A little bit, right?
So there's another thing.
Yeah. Tell me.
Lido's is a local thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
They have sweet tomato sauce, right?
Yeah. I know a couple people that were like from Bowie and stuff like that, and it's like, there's a sentimentality to it. It's a sentimentality for everybody. Just like ice cream, you know, like. So Lido to me, I was like, oh man, this is shit, and I didn't want to shit all over my buddies, but I'm like, I can't eat this. Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I ordered Rosati's, which just opened on Bladensburg.
Yeah.
Or Benning, which is a Chicago chain that I'm very familiar with. One was in my town. But for me, you know, you crave those things like you grew up on. So I bring Rosati's to my restaurant and I let everybody have it, and they're just like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? So there's that factor too. But you know what I really love about DC is there's a transience here, and you can do more experimentation or offer things that people are willing to try. Where in New York, they shit all over you before you even open the place.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what I love about DC. Also, it is a very transient city. I mean, we get a slew of new people every 4 months, really, basically. That's why our staffers and
a lot of young people, young professionals.
Yeah, but they do like the variety. That's something, you know, it's so funny. You go to New York and they're ready to fire on you.
Get the fuck out of
Get
here.
the fuck out. Get the fuck.
What's the
Yeah, I was
matter?
surprised at how Ann Pizza went over there and had some success.
Yeah.
The brand, you know Ann Pizza, right?
Yeah.
I was like the flatbread.
Yeah.
But because I thought New Yorkers were just
Pizza,
gonna fucking come out
flatbread.
two different fucking things.
Yeah.
Two different things.
Yeah.
But also Lido's is because I did some reading up about them, they and their origin story. It is a flakier crust because back in the day you used to use lard instead of any other fat, right? In the dough. So, you know, instead of like a little bit of olive oil or what have you. So they used to use lard, which made it flakier.
Yeah. Like
Now they don't use lard. They use something like a vegetable lard, obviously.
some
so
cancer-causing agent.
yeah, exactly. But you know, but what do you think? What do you think about my Chicago topping pizza today?
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell everybody about it. Give me your review.
Man, that's good.
One bite. One bite. Is that an ad
Very
for
good.
like Slab It or Slim Jim, or was that my?
What is it people are into now with like listening to people chew?
Is it ASMR? Is that what it's called? ARS? I'm my dyslexia.
I screw this.
ASMR,
I screw this all the time. ASMR. I've been asked many times from my marketing team to start doing some ASMR recipes. You know, like so. You know, like clinking on the saute pan or something like that, and snapping the hot dog, or
The sizzling bacon.
Are you into that? I always feel like it's something exotic when people are like, "Do you do ASMR?" I'm like, no, I don't know what you know, like.
No, you freak.
Yeah, you're freak. What are you talking about?
Hey, we got kids in the room. You know? Yeah, it's funny. You know, it's funny, like, food trends are funny,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we just launched Detroit style pizza.
Cool.
We the pizza. Emails are already coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they're coming in. And they're like, oh, I don't know.
I don't know if it's really. Well, I'm from Flint. Are you from?
How could it be Detroit if
Yeah.
it's in DC? You know, you're using the wrong pepperoni, which we're not. You're using the right pepperoni, guys. It's small size pepperoni.
Is that messed up like your cooking flow in at We the Pizza? Just because I was there yesterday. And I picked up some pies and I saw like a guy like trying to get the Detroit thing out of the Detroit pan, like struggling a little bit in the back. And I was just wondering, like, does that?
The pans are important, right?
The pans are important.
Yeah, because the pan pizza, right?
Yeah, it's the pan's everything because the dough actually proofs in the pan and rises in the pan.
Right.
And it gets par baked in the pan.
Okay.
And then that's how you make your Detroit pie. You use like a par baked.
So for me, like, what's the difference between a Detroit and a Sicilian, like a New York Sicilian?
Good question.
Here we go.
Good question here. You know.
Deep dive.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, for some reason, they'd say it's the pan,
Okay.
right? The rectangular shape and this kind of toasting of the crust, you know, because you have olive oil in there, right? So it gets like this, it gets bronze,
Sure.
and crispy,
Good stuff.
and then it's very fluffy in the middle, right? It's like very
Like focaccia, right?
yeah, like a focaccia feeling style, and then you know we get this thick cut small pepperonis. And it's supposed to be like very oily and cheesy, but I'm kind of with you. I struggle between like the Sicilian, the mamas,
Yeah,
you know,
the basil.
and
grandma.
and the grandma. That's
Yeah.
not the mamas. That's a whole other one. The grandmas, and then the Detroit. Like those three to me, I'm like, all right.
And from the Midwest, well, there's two pizzas that are out there. There's the New Haven,
Yep.
right? And the St. Louis.
I don't think people know about the St. Louis that much, but tell us about the St. Louis.
Yeah, so for me, the St. Louis is like a Chicago tavern style, cut in squares, but they use Provel cheese. And Provel is like the Velveeta of mozzarella.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a creaminess
Yeah.
to it. Even though it's like a baked mayo, even kind of.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good, but
It's like vegan cheese.
yeah, it is
texture.
Kinda, yeah. Do you know Lauren DeSantis?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's from St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I used to talk to her about.
What's the famous St. Louis restaurant that's like known for the chain?
Panera Bread.
No.
Is
It's a
it?
pizza.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. Because my girlfriend's from St. Louis, and she always talks about the cheese, and
See?
it's in the grocery stores there, the restaurant, I'm trying to think of the
You
name
grow
of the
up
restaurant.
on it.
It sounds like you're not listening to her.
I know.
very
It's like one of
clearly.
those restaurants. It's on like it's like one of those
Looking at it.
restaurants. Actually,
Yeah,
this is a good
yeah.
question for you. It's on like Goldbelly, where like you get your favorite cities, restaurants.
Yeah.
Do you have Go Belly stuff?
Yeah.
Do you do
No.
No. Yeah, we're not, Garces has Gold Belly stuff, I think.
Yeah, and he has that Cook Unity stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a byproduct of COVID.
It's funny to see how Garces and you took different paths.
Well, yeah,
You growing up, and still really good friends, and like it's kind of a fine balance, right? Like,
yeah. Well,
isn't he an Iron Chef too?
yeah,
Yeah.
that changed his world.
You know who's not an Iron Chef? Aaron Sanchez. I'm just messing.
Oh, man.
I'm just messing.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have to get him on the podcast too.
In his mind, he's way stronger than iron.
Oh yeah, he's steel chef. He's the steel.
Yeah, he's like titanium.
Titanium chef.
Yes.
So that changed his career.
Yeah, but I had some pretty firm parameters of things that I'm willing and not willing to do.
Yeah.
Like for me, I like operations. I always felt like fundamental skills, like when you go out into that world, in
Yeah.
the deep water, it could turn on you very quickly.
Yeah.
And I felt it was not a longevity-oriented decision, not for me.
You were right. You're right.
And I don't want to be the 15 minutes of fame type
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a fair amount of things that I thought were parallel to or made sense. But I like I said, anonymity's always been extremely valuable to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when we are with our own, like it's like photos.
Central.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the time.
It's taxing.
It
It's
is,
taxing.
yeah.
I had my little taste during the Top Chef, Iron Chef days, and all that kind of stuff. I think it affected me positively in so many ways.
Sure.
But negatively in many ways that counted more than the positives. Like, so,
It's like be careful what
Yeah.
you wish for, you might get it.
well, it's to your point. It's like, you get out there, you do these shows, you might be getting paid. Most are not getting, paid life-changing
Yeah.
amounts of money,
Yeah.
right? So you're still kind of grinding in a way just to make it to the life-changing money
Yeah.
times, right? And it's all based on like how you resonate with the consumer.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't have anything to do with, the food you're cooking or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a personality career more than anything.
Yeah.
And the longevity and the sustainability of that is also up in the air.
Totally.
Right? One day you're in, one day you're out. And there's very few that manage to be able to carry that throughout the career. And I mean, like the Rachel Rays, the Bobby Flays, the Michael Simons, the Guy Fieri's. I mean, those are all people that do that very well.
Yeah.
Right. But the rest of us, you should better have some foundation along the way.
Yeah.
And know how to run a restaurant if you're going to be in the food business and operate and things like that. And by the way, that all that stuff you get good at through repetition, doing it every day.
Exactly.
Right?
Like something's going to suffer.
Yes.
And what are you?
Yeah.
What really are you?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron was groomed at a very young age through his wonderful mother, Sorella Martinez, for those who don't know.
Big shout out.
Yeah, Ma. So he was groomed for it. He was a restaurant kid. He had a famous mother.
Yeah.
And he can handle it.
Yeah.
And he makes majority of his livelihood out of it. But
Yeah.
that's very rare.
Very rare. Very rare.
And Guy Fieri, a guy who stepped in shit but was prepared to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I know and have mutual friends of guys that were exploited and crushed.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, chewed up and spit out.
Oh, yeah.
Which is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I also I always chalk it up to, not getting your culinary foundation, doing all the things you need, like that we did, and trying to get to be the star of the show right from the get-go, right? You gotta, there's something great about paying some dues, right? And there's something rewarding about going through some classic training, if you will, and like working your way up. And I think it just like prepares you for life in general. I often say like if it should be a curriculum in school is to work in restaurants for a year or two. You know what I mean? Like it would make you a better person.
Well, I spoke to a young lady we hired yesterday who's from, she explains it as like country. It's like an hour and a half north in Maryland. But she is in school for arts. And so we had an interesting conversation. And I was like, listen, restaurant is one of those things I think that should be required for college students that are going to pay off loans or enter the world or want to travel, because then you can work anywhere.
Right.
The restaurant industry, one of the beauties of it is it supports every industry.
Yeah.
And you can always go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. And for young people these days, I feel that those social skills from being on the tablet or the phone since you're a young kid, there's an awkwardness that the restaurant can help you overcome. You socialized.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So I want to get back to, it's so much to talk to. It's so great. But let's talk about like the Hawaiian roots and how that exploded and how that's played like such an important role in your life.
Yeah, tremendous.
And then let's get to the shitty part about the restaurant business.
So there was an interesting development. At Belbick and Candle, I don't do lunch.
Ooh.
So in the beginning, I was tied in with a couple young, smart, forward-thinking young ladies, Jordana and Bay. They had a company called Bright Spokes. Now, Bright Spokes used to connect guys like me with like executives. It's like team building. So for what I would do was like, okay, you bring 8 people, we split them in 4, but I teach them 3 like an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and then they compete and I judge them.
Yeah.
And that's their team builder. But there was another girl that they used to go for these like high-end experiences in New Hampshire. They would chop her up there and they'd get like an education tutorial on how to drive a race car, and then they would race.
Oh.
And the girl who ran that is the Hawaiian girl, Verena May. She's a well-known Hawaiian, but a female race car driver.
Okay.
And so through the Bright Spokes girls, Verena and I became buddies. I'm a car freak. She's a race car driver. She's a cooking freak, and I'm a chef. Me and her hit it off immediately.
Yeah.
And just chatting about our thing and what other things we can do and whatever. And she's like, "You've ever been to Hawaii?" And I said, "No, I've never been." "We should go." "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
So we start going to Hawaii, and then that whole thing develops in, well, she's like, Hawaii, you need land rights. And I have land rights. I'm a Hawaiian. I grew up in Pearl City. All right, cool. She's like, I told her I had this I used to have a farm in Orlando, and she knows about my growing operation and all that. And it turned out to us, like, her getting some.
Wait. Orlando, you had a growing farm.
Yeah, I had
you had to grow in Orlando.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah,
I had an 18,000 square foot rentaurant down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's still there. The guy I sold it to still operates it the way I.
Really?
Yeah.
With a farm attached to it?
It sits on 22 acres.
Like Orlando?
Like just north of Orlando, but still Orlando. Orange Blossom Trail, like right now. I don't know. You're from the other side, or you?
Yeah, but I was just
like Altamont.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Between Daytona and Orlando.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, it was a bear.
Yeah.
Me and my partner had that for a while before Belbuck and Kendall. When we were building Belbuck and Kendall, we ended up selling it during the mortgage crisis. Things get hit hard in Central Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So we escaped. Or we could have got ruined.
Yeah.
For a good chunk of time, we probably would have got ruined for a bit. Some recovery time there. So we escaped that. Anyway, Vree and I start going to Hawaii. Turns out.
North Oahu?
Yeah, so we're looking for farmland.
Okay.
We looked on Maui, found some good stuff. Took a lot of advice from Chef. And his biggest thing was, John, I forbid you to open a full service restaurant on Oahu. He's like, I've lost tons of money. He's like, but if you do it, it could hit. Chances are it's not. It's a weird thing. I've been living here since the year you were born.
Yeah.
And, you still can't get my head around it. So he's like, play it safe, man. Anyway, so we're like, well, we want to get into some ecotourism stuff. Like, two guys she grew up with are hunters, and they take people on excursions. We're like, well, we'll use that to like have, experiences at the farm. We'll grow. At first, we were gonna like try to build one, and we found an already organically certified farm from a wonderful elderly lady whose kids didn't want to partake in her vision.
Yeah.
We got a couple buddies of ours from Vice Media.
Media.
Yeah, those are our bros, Brooklyn bros that put up some cash for me.
Yeah.
And we bought the place.
Yeah.
And then this is crazy, right? So like, no matter how much hard work you put into a food service operation, the risk never subsides, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, this is a massive risk, but we're like, yeah, we're enamored by the whole concept of it. Yeah, we're in dreamland. But like, we also have the fundamental nuts and bolts to connect all the dots, but that shit fell in our lap. Like, we couldn't have worked hard and had been better organized and done a better job.
Yeah.
So I hire this lady to maintain the farm.
Yeah.
Because I know a little bit about that. I don't want to maintain it. I want you to maintain it, and I'll take a cut.
Yeah.
To make my life easier.
Yeah.
Hire a specialist. Hire this lady. She's got 2 special needs kids, so they're coming to the farm on the weekends with her. And I'm like, well, I've done a bunch of stuff with children. Let's bring the whole class here.
Yeah.
Turns into a curriculum. Now we got an autistic school on the farm, and the lady's like full in.
Yeah.
Her husband's a food scientist for Dole.
Oh gosh.
So he knows the ins and outs of how to get unradiated food off the island.
Okay.
Dole's like one of the only people who you can get pineapples that aren't radiated to get them off the island. Dole's one of the only people.
Yeah.
They don't export.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Totally, So then I'm like, I want to build this outdoor kitchen. So I'm at Schofield Barracks is like 3 miles away from the farm.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in there. It's like a military bar.
Yeah.
And
because it's heavy on military on that side of the island, right? That's
Yeah.
where all the barracks are. Right?
every branch.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got these blueprints in my pocket of like hand drawn by me. I don't know shit, but I'm like, this is what it should do, function. Like, I try to explain it. Start talking to this dude. He's telling me he's military. He's a sword builder.
Yeah.
He spent a bunch of time in Korea and just having this crazy conversation. And then I'm like, dude, do you know a welder? He's like, yeah, I will. He's like, I'm actually doing a project on the SS Missouri at Pearl Harbor right now. It's like one of the most active battleships of all time.
Yeah.
So I show him the blueprints. He's like, oh, dude, no problem at all. He goes, you know what? I think I can get battleship metal for free, and we'll build that shit out of that. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
I built a wood-burning oven and a bunch of grills and, like, fire pits and all this stuff out of scrap metal from the
Out of
SS.
scrap metal?
And I got it for
that.
free.
Oh, my gosh.
So then, I'm like, Kiave wood is, like, really kick-ass, like Hawaiian hickory.
Yeah.
It's expensive, though, very expensive. So I I hear something on the radio.
How'd you get that for free? I gotta hear. You gotta hear.
Just like it was. Yeah. So I hear something. Yeah. Wait, there's a bunch of metal missing from the new project down in Pearl Harbor. So.
Oh no! Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, there's all this invasive. What do they call it? Some kind of wood. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, they're like, you can pick it up. Just like, so we get a truck, we go down there, and we get shitloads of this invasive hardwood, and we're just burning that shit like crazy. And it's not, all over the island. They're trying to clear it because
it's not monkey pot.
No, it's real crazy, really twisty.
I know what you're talking about too. Is it start with a K? Is it Kiavi?
No. Koa is like the real prize.
Yeah, the Koa.
This one's like.
Oh, whatever. We can Google it.
Anyway,
Google it.
big winds and storms come by too, and then you can clear wood that way too. They ask you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're just doing all that. So the whole thing with Hawaii was in my mind. It's like, I want a place that's like perfectly located between the eastern and western hemisphere.
Yeah. That
we can pull all sorts of exotic ingredients from, and I'm just going to bring all my buddies from around the world to cook here. And they can take their background after we give them a taste of Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian ingredients, and we'll just meld it together. We never wrote a menu. So we're getting like onaga, which is like snapper that comes from 2,000 feet below. It's like the most pristine snapper. Uku, which is a blue-green snapper, also deep water. We're getting any tuna. It's like more than we could use. They got the second biggest fish market in the world, next to Japan. We're spear fishing octopus. We're shooting boar. We're shooting axis deer.
This is like a dream come true.
And the whole
this is a dream come true.
Yeah, and we got to the point where we're showing people how to make poi. We're getting donated salt because it's a native thing. You can't sell it, so we're getting donated salt, giving them as gifts to the guests. We got guys making ink and doing fish prints.
Oh, the fish prints.
Yeah, and then we give them to the guests.
Yeah,
just all this shit just was like, hey, we should. Hey.
All the bells and whistles.
None of it was hard work at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it came to an end. I actually sold it because my business partner was going through a pretty tumultuous divorce.
Yeah.
And she met another guy and wanted to move to Seattle. So I was like, listen, this has been a kick-ass run for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Closing in on 6. So I said, listen, man, I want you to be happy if this thing doesn't work for you anymore. It's all good.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the market.
Yeah.
So I called the lady we bought it off of. She bought it right back. I didn't have to do shit.
What?
Yeah, snapped it right back, market value. There you go. We did so much work on the farm, and it really
I love that story.
Gave her like seller's remorse.
Yeah.
And she really appreciated what we did. That was what she wanted her kids to do, and they didn't want to do it. So she's like, I'm going to spend the rest of my years
That's so
right
funny.
here.
We sold my childhood restaurant that I grew up in back to the original owners after having it for like 15 years. It's kind of crazy how that works.
Yeah.
It's like,
right?
Yeah. So now it's still there?
Still there. I was there in December.
Programming is still going through?
Yeah, programming's there.
What's the name of it so people can go visit it?
It's Kekele.
Kekele, guys. You hear that? Next time you're in Oahu, you got to go North Shore?
Yeah, but the extended... So to be able to share it with all my buddies...
Yeah.
And so many other random things just happen on the North Shore.
Yeah.
When like at that bar, or like you go down to like Haliva Joe's, or whatever, like those little surf bars and stuff, and you run into all kinds of people. Everybody loves the magic of Hawaii. It's almost impossible to not.
It's amazing.
And then once you get a taste, it's like, yeah, we're going to be going there for the rest of our life, and maybe half the year eventually we're going to stay there, like that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the funny thing is, so Drew Nieperent's partner, Michael Bonadies, had partnered with some dudes that built a big resort in the Guanacaste Coast in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And that's a blue zone. Blue zone's 5 of them in the world, the highest concentration of people that live over 100 years old.
Yeah.
Total pristine part of Costa Rica. And so I start going down there for him because he's doing the setup and doing the staff training. We're testing all the services, doing menus and all this stuff. And then I'm like, we should just do what we do in Hawaii here too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all these crazy ingredients and native herbs and natives who can explain it. And there's the whole wellness of the centurion culture and all this kind of stuff just translate right into it.
Yeah.
And then COVID blew everything apart.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get the magic back down there
Yeah.
because we didn't have owner stake. But we had a really cool thing going on down there too.
Oh, you did for a while.
Yeah.
And it was early stages. COVID just kind of.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
I don't know, management or whatever. Things like don't
Yeah.
see the value in it and whatever. We had a blast though.
So how many? You still go to Hawaii quite a bit, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You were just there. I'm there in 2 weeks. I'm going to go see Shep. I'm hanging with Shep. I can't wait to doing a dinner there also.
I spent a lot of time on Lanai.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah.
And we were at Sugarloaf and the White Pineapples. I was trying to source poi for my restaurant on 18th Street. So the restaurant on 18th Street, Yocho, is the baby of all the time I spent in Hawaii.
Oh, really? And when did you open that?
September.
So fairly new.
September 12th. I didn't want to do the 11th.
Were you slated for the
That
11th?
was a PTSD, man.
You're like,
Can't do it
I'm
bad
just going to do it the
mojo.
day after. Like the day after was much better.
Yeah, so that's all Hawaiian fish and jackfruit and buns made out of poi and activated charcoal that I used to make on the farm out of coconut husks and all that stuff. So yeah, it's still keeping it's alive. And my wife's Cambodian, and so that flavor profile suits her.
That plays.
So she feels like a better natural contribution there.
Yeah. So that's your newest restaurant.
Yeah.
How many seats is it?
It's a QSR, fast casual.
Fast casual.
We're in the square. It's a, International Square. We have
I'm going to come check it out.
a handful of
I haven't
us.
been there yet, so I'm checking it out.
Ruben Garcia's got the Spanish part. We got Yuchi does the sushi. We got Taqueria Sochi. Geraldine, she does the Mexican. We have a big atrium bar. And it's cool. It's like lunch.
Yeah.
Pretty much Monday through Friday. We have a huge banquet area and a commissary kitchen.
Yeah.
Small space, but we do fried chicken there. We do huli chicken there.
Ooh.
We're about to add fried chicken wings, stuffed chicken wings. We do grilled kampachi sandwiches. We do fried chicken sandwiches. All Asian flavor profile.
Oh, I love that.
Everything from like mochi cake to macadamia nut cookies to like little candies of like high chew. But
You ever
like,
do malasadas?
No, but I will get into that.
You will get into it, yeah.
That's one thing. See, those are the things. when I wrote it out, like, what are we going to do? It's like, we can do Korean, we can do Japanese, we can do Chinese, we can do Portuguese.
Yeah.
Those are all things that are prevalent all over the islands.
Yeah. We did I did compete in Kashan one year.
Cool.
And you went to those, right?
Yeah, I used to help Boobin a little bit.
You used to have, yeah. We did a banh mi malasadas.
Yeah.
And it was fucking ridiculously good, dude.
That's fun. Are they still doing them?
No, that guy went. That guy. I think it was something Brady. Yeah, some scandal happened. The Asian community took him down.
I remember Mikey.
I think he made a comment or something like that, and
shot him down.
Yeah,
he got Me Too'd right off the earth.
Yeah, big time.
I remember
It happens, guys.
Yeah.
Watch what you say out there.
I remember Mikey Freeman did a cool like noodle dish where it was the pork skin,
Oh yeah,
like a ramen.
Yeah.
Or something.
I loved it. You know, I flew in Chris Koulis for Kashan. So Chris, I don't know if you've known him, but he's been the chef at McKenna Resort for the last 9 years.
Okay.
Before that, he was at a Relais and Chateau that he got the Relais and Chateau status for them in the kitchen, and now he just opened up his own spot called Spoon and Key, which is in Wailea. It's right next to our Constantino's spot that's opening up soon.
Yeah, we got to get out there.
Yeah, so it's right above Wailea. So I brought him, and we didn't win. We lost to who did we lose to? We lost to Danny and his mom.
Oh well.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Mama wasn't there. Yeah, no. I mean, we weren't.
But just, I'll ask you one question.
Yeah.
In my experience with those type of setups, I feel like there's always a touch of politics going on.
Oh, I mean, please. Welcome to like my entire life with those things, whether it's
Yeah.
Top Chef, Iron Chef, or Kashan, or there's a ton of politics because honestly, we threw everything at this competition. So much so, I mean, we did blood sausage from the blood, right?
Super cool.
We did We did these banh mi things. We made so many dishes out of this. We even took the extent we saved every single bone from our pig, every single bone, and we bleached every single bone, and like we reassembled the entire pig.
I thought you were going to say you made a xylophone.
No. Maybe I would have won if I would have made a xylophone. That would have been much more impressive.
And then played a tune.
Yeah, we
for
should
the
have.
judges,
And this is the tune for this course. But no, it was fun. Those things are fun. So Hawaii's in your blood.
Yeah, man. You know, it's one of those things like.
Do you have a Hawaiian nickname? Do people call you something?
No, not really.
I just didn't know. Okay.
Everyone's bra.
Yeah. Bra.
Yeah.
You got your slippers on?
Yeah, slippers. So much cool stuff there. Even like the culture of shave ice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or hamlihing moi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things that I don't think mainlanders know. I mean,
those mainlanders.
The poke craze is one thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, hula, tiki.
Yeah, please don't identify all of Hawaii with just poke people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's offensive.
Hawaiians all know they have something special. They all appreciate it. The lifestyle's tremendous.
But they're like you. They're on the DL about it. They don't want to market it too much. They just want to go under the radar a little bit. They don't,
Yeah.
They're like, we're good.
Yeah.
We'll enjoy this. You guys can enjoy, your poke.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's other islands that I can't even pronounce that like you can't go. Huh?
Yeah, no, forbidden.
There's a bunch of stuff that everyone knows, like the top 5.
Yeah.
You know what I really like is on the Big Island. For those who don't know, Hawaii is the Big Island.
Yeah.
Outside Kona is the Marine Biology Center. You get to spend time with like shrimp cultivation, octopus.
Yeah.
There's where Kampachi comes from.
Yeah. Well, Kampachi, for people, correct me if I'm wrong on here, but it's a made up fish, right? It's not, because I think I went to the Kampachi farm.
Right. It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about this sustainable farm, and I actually went with Chris Constantino and a bunch of other chefs, and we went diving and we went to the cages, we went underwater.
Super cool.
We saw the Kampachis. It was crazy amount of fish in these massive 10-story large cages underwater. But the interesting part, like where I can get behind this is that, most of the time when you have like these big farms doing their thing, it's kind of destroying the local fishing economy, right?
Yeah.
Where these guys don't get to go on the boat and, earn money for their families. And the difference here is that this fish doesn't exist in the wild, right? It is a hybrid. So they couldn't catch this fish if they wanted to, right? And so they still have all the rest of the fish that's in the market.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really affect the local economy, which I can get behind.
It's its own thing that primarily is designed to ship out, and it started as an experiment. I mean, it's a research center.
Yeah.
It's
a hybrid of what to? It's hamachi. Which is more expensive, right?
It's like a skipjack and an amberjack.
Yeah. Okay.
How does it taste?
Oh, tremendous.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's got a great texture. It's like got a touch of mahi.
Yeah.
Got a touch of like a white tuna, like a skipjack and interesting flesh. It grills tremendous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, poaches everything. Yeah, it's great. We grill it. We do a great grilled fish sandwich at Yocho.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, on a poi bun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's the dressing on it?
Togarashi mayo.
Ooh, I like a little togarashi.
Little Asian slaw with some Thai basil and mint leaves, shredded cabbage and carrots. And we do this like Asian chimichurri as a dressing on that.
I've been getting so hungry listening to this restaurant.
This is the best thing about this podcast is just we get that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you go to a
make people
tasting
hungry.
menu and then you go out for pizza.
Yeah. So who's been your so I'm a kitchen rat. Like I grew up idolizing French chefs, reading their books, trying to go work for them. Some I got to work for, some I didn't.
Yeah.
Is there people like that in your lives? I know we've named a bunch, but who's like the the 5? Who's your top 5? Who's your top 5 here? I mean, I know there's probably a top 10, 15, but like forget those fuckers. Like who's the top 5?
Well, I gotta say, one person that continues to amaze me, who I've always just had tremendous respect for and got to spend a huge amount of time with, is Morimoto.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's outrageous.
Tell people.
I always love Doug Rodriguez. He's always a massive contributor. I love what he does. I love his originality.
Yeah.
I think he contributed huge to like things like ceviche and a lot of other Latin-oriented flavors. He brought something that now are kind of standard.
Yeah. What is he? Is he Peruvian?
He's Cuban.
He's Cuban. Okay.
Got a chance to go to Cuba with him, and it was so mind-blowing amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, mind-blowingly amazing. Like things like the Bacardi. People don't know Bacardi originally is from Cuba. They think it's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. Which explains a lot about it.
One of his buddies is a chef in Miami, Bernie Matz. He's also from Cuba. We went to his family's home.
Yeah.
And the car that they left was still sitting in the garage. Like it was like
It's going back in time.
trapped in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a time capsule.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But yeah, you learned a lot. See, the biodynamic farming is tremendous.
Yeah, yeah.
You learn something about socialism from their perspective. It's like people are like, oh, like communism, like Nazis, like all these horrible things in history have happened. But when you listen to a Cuban explain why they do things the way they do, is because they're a big island and they didn't want to have to rely on the rest of the world because they figured that anyone could get an upper hand on us. So,
Definitely.
So they had to be self-sufficient. So from that perspective, from their set of circumstances, I think it applies pretty
Big
well.
respect on that, right?
Yeah.
For an island to do that.
Yeah.
And then, so any women chefs that are up there for you?
Well, Zarella.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's always treated me like her own son. She tells everybody I'm her third son.
Tell people who Zarella is.
So Zarella Martinez is a tremendous chef, Mexican chef, one of the first female celebrity chefs, Mexican historian, culturalist, and music, like anything Mexican. That's her deal.
Yeah.
And the wealth of knowledge is like always impressive.
Yeah.
But she's, some people that don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
It might be painful sometimes, but it's always beneficial.
Yeah.
They only tell you things not because they're trying to beat you up, because they want you to be a better person and they expect more from you.
Yeah.
But in the process, sometimes it can be a little bit painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's brutally honest, and I respect that. And then Mark Miller has always been.
Oh, yeah, big time.
That guy still continues to throw me challenges.
Yeah.
Throw me support. And like Chef Dean, like Chef Mark, when you're next to them and they were younger, there was pain in the process.
Yeah.
It's your development. But now that they're older and a little softer and a little more open, they explain things and they want to give you things. And they know they're not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the relationship changes, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, they want to pass on that knowledge.
Yeah.
So what's your temperature on like the industry as a whole right now? Like what bugs you? Like what's are you worried about the industry, or are you pissed off about certain aspects of it?
Well, there's one thing,
because I know you're a heavy opinionated guy. So I'm just
I think I don't like decisions being made that aren't industry motivated.
Yeah.
Like this whole Prop 80, is it 82 or 81? I don't know.
82, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
right, Jason.
The way it was
minimum wage.
Yeah.
So the way it was explained to me is that, okay, like big chains like McDonald's, for example, are notorious for like, say, mistreating immigrated women.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's horrible and that should change. But that's a non-tipped position.
Yeah.
So who's saying that the tips need to change and the wage needs to increase if every person on my crew and all the restaurant people I know in the community, not one of them can tell me a reason why it should go through. Yeah, nobody's in support of it. So then how is that happening?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
That's politics, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Back money,
and that
backdoor
bothers,
money.
That bothers me.
That bothers shit. You know. The other thing that bothers me is there's all these hidden costs and inflation that you were usually in the industry only talking about the food for the most part. But like my mother, which gangster restaurateur. I was sitting with her the other day. I was going over the P&L for one of the stores, just kind of looking at it. And she discovered this, and the percentages were out of whack a little bit on some stuff, right? The fixed operating costs.
Yeah.
and she showed me bills from Pepco.
Oh.
She showed me bills from Pepco in 2018, 2019, 2020, all the way up until 21, 22, 23. And my God, they have risen the Pepco bill. It's not like we're using more, like we have gas stoves, we have all this gas. It's like, how much of this electricity are we actually pulling? It's astronomical, the bill. It's crazy, the inflation that has happened there. But that's something that's just sneaky. Like I don't know if most restaurateurs are really, really paying attention. I mean, the percentages are off. They try to fix it some way. But man, like if you go back like 5 years on all your bills and like look at the inflation from some of these fixed costs.
Yeah.
The hidden costs, it's crazy to me.
I have a horrible relationship with Pepco. I'm in constant battle with them to the point where I believe they're a criminal organization.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I started to contest certain things. Now all of a sudden they don't have any records of any of my payments that I've made in DC dating back to 2015.
Yeah.
And I said, that's ridiculous. So I sent them statements from everything. Oh, well, we can't find it. We're going to need actual cash checks and all this, like just making it a pain in my ass.
Yeah.
And I know they're a shitty entity to work for, because in all the conversations I've had with people that work there, I've gotten them to divulge certain things. And you only do that if you don't have loyalty because you feel that they're shitty people or you're being mistreated.
Yeah.
So I got the direct lady to call, and she was like, how did you get my number?
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff. Yeah, because you're a piece of shit and you know what you do is shitty, and you should burn for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll turn this conversation to a little bit more friendlier. Pepco, if you hear us, we're coming after you. The restaurant industry's coming after you.
Pepco, we need help.
Pepco.
Yeah.
Help us.
It's all of a sudden like all the power goes off.
Yeah. The power in all the restaurants. All the power in all our restaurants went out just now. Good point, Jason. Good point. But, we're going to talk to the mayor's office about this Pepco stuff. But all right, so we're nearing the end of this beautiful, delicious podcast. What I could spend hours. We're going to have you again as a repeat. I mean, for sure. You're in the neighborhood, so it's always fun. But what are some of your? I just want to hear your top meals out there. I know you've eaten a lot of meals, but what are some of the most memorable? What are some of the restaurants that aren't yours that you want to send people to? And then we could just call this a wrap. I'm going to send you home with this pizza and some tea, and that's it, baby.
Well, I love Salt Line.
Salt Line?
We go there frequently.
Okay.
You know what I really like? Who we recently started.
Isn't that Salt?
That's Kyle's place, right?
Yeah. Is he do it with Ryan Zimmerman? Or am I?
The one in Navy Yard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy for us.
It's with the baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Zimmerman.
And
he does food fight. He
good oysters
judges food fight for DC Central Kitchen every year.
We love Grazianona.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like affordable.
Yeah.
It's in a good location for us, and the food is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good food out there, and it's hard. Like, I sympathize with the restaurateurs. To keep prices down is super, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they do a really good job, and they give a good value.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And you know what? There's a couple spots I like that are old school. I like Parthenon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Parthenon, and I like Pupatella.
Oh yeah, Poops.
Yeah.
Oh, we
met you there one day.
we got reconnected at the original gas station Pupatella's in the backyard over there. I remember that.
We go to this place out in Crofton, which is like 30 minutes out to Maryland, because our daughter loves, like, a lot of the decisions are made on what she wants to do.
Yeah.
So we go to this place called Nona Angela.
Oh yeah.
It's like a strip mall spot. It reminds me of the first place I ever
first
worked.
place you ever worked?
So there's a little sentimentality there, and also the food's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a bunch of high school kids, waiters, and I like that spot.
I like that. You ever go to Eden Center with your wife?
Yo, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's there right now.
Oh, she's right there.
Yeah, she's there right now.
What is she doing there?
She's doing some cosmetic thing, and then she's gonna come home with loads of food.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love a day at I drop my kid off at school, and then I usually head there for Vietnamese coffee.
Oh yeah.
In the mornings, like I'm quite possibly, I actually know for a fact I'm the first person every morning to get Vietnamese coffee out of that mall area. Like there's nothing open and I sneak in.
And it's not far. It's probably close to you, but
it's close. It's not far and it's enjoyable.
It's Falls Church, right?
Yeah. So Mooney, you are incredible. You have opened so many different restaurants. You've traveled the world. You've rubbed shoulders with the best of them, the legends. You're a legend yourself. One part of the things that we haven't talked to, I do want to get to it, is just like the give back. Like, like what are, I know you've given back in many different ways, but what are some of the organizations you want to highlight and like send people to and some of the stuff that keeps you just kind of, moving? I mean, we are sitting here recording out of DC Central Kitchen. We mentioned them before. It's like one of the most amazing organizations here in the DC area. But anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
Well, there's a couple of organizations that I've been continuously in support of for 20 plus years or close to 20 years. One of them is a chef connection with autism is Franklin Becker.
Yeah, big time.
We did our 17th year this year. Yeah, earlier this year. And the contribution is $1.6 million, the best we ever did.
Yeah.
Get to see all your buddies, 100 of us in the same room.
Yeah.
So I really love that, but I love the contribution.
Yeah.
These events aren't cheap.
Yeah.
But they really pass it through.
Yeah.
And there's two ladies in Philly that I've worked with since like 2000. Penny and Judy Lerner. They own AYS. We had great sponsors, like Citibank was a big one. But we do tennis events, and I think you've participated in at least a couple of them. I used to do 5 cities for them a year. Now I just do DC and New York, but we've worked together for a long time. And mother-daughter, woman-owned business, we've been able to do a ton of cool stuff.
Yeah. What's the website?
Should be AYS Sports.
AYS Sports.
They're Philly. They're from Philly. Garces is from Philly now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like...
Garces is from Philly now. I love it.
Yeah, 20 years, I think you're from Philly, right?
Definitely.
Those two are something for most of my career.
Franklin Becker's a ball of energy. I love him. I just saw him in New York, like in Union Square. He came by one of my activations, and it's always a great guy to chat.
Yeah, I think
he wants me to do this autism event that you guys do.
You should. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
so much fun. And one chef that needs recognition, who I think is was somewhat of a silent giant, but who's connected in the industry, was Michael Ganor. Was a tremendous dear friend, and the last time we all saw him was at my wedding.
Yeah,
and he passed away a week later. Yeah, which was he actually passed away 2 weeks later on Thanksgiving Day in Israel doing a triathlon. But for people that don't know, he is the foie gras king. He had the largest foie gras farm in North America, Canada and USA, and just a tremendous culinarian, and with a really awesome background. He was an Israeli frogman, like military guy who really loved John Louis, Gunther Seeger. Big time. He had great conversations, was always there, always picked up the phone, and always every event you ever go to, he was there. A huge support system and a big loss to our industry.
Where was the farm? In Hudson?
So it's upstate in just past the Catskills. So maybe the Catskills. His son runs it now.
Beautiful.
Jordan, and they have a great operation up there.
Yeah. Big shout out to them. Great way to end the pod. Mooney, it's been great to have you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a really good time.
Yeah, we're going to do the outro. Oh, we'll give you some applause first, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this captivating episode of In the Weeds with Chef John Mooney. A special shout out to our fantastic sponsors, Just Iced Tea and We the Pizza. Discover the refreshing taste of Just Iced Tea at eatthechange.com and satisfy your pizza cravings with We the Pizza at wethepizza.com. You will not regret it. And a huge thank you goes to our broadcast home, DC Central Kitchen, for their unwavering support. They're not just serving up food, they're serving up real change. Learn more and get involved at dccentralkitchen.org. They're always looking for volunteers. And guys, to catch up on past episodes or to subscribe to future ones, head over to In the Weeds Pod, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. The kitchen may be closed for now, but the conversation never stops. We are 86 for now. Until next time.